Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to begin. This Planning Commission meeting is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. We're live on KCLV Channel 2, and this meeting will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m., the following Monday at midnight, and Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. Would everyone please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Flangus.
Here.
Vice Chair Moody.
Here.
Commissioner Goins.
Present.
Commissioner Truesdale. Excused. Commissioner Quinn. Excused. Commissioner Schlattman.
Present.
Commissioner Bonar.
Here.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I call your attention to the information printed in your agenda concerning our actions and the appeal and review process, if appropriate. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains our rules of conduct. We appreciate your adhering to these rules so we can have a smooth meeting. Thank you very much. Going on to item number 4. All comments made under this item for specific action items will be cross-referenced to those items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak under this portion of the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5. And looking at that, this is for possible action to approve the final minutes for the Planning Commission meeting of May 13th, 2014 and June 10th, 2014. So can I have a motion on the minutes, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My motion is to approve the minutes of May 13, 2014 and June 10, 2014 for the Planning Commission meetings. I will be abstaining since I missed the May 13, 2014 meeting, just as to that one.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve the minutes for the meeting of May 13, 2014 and June 10, 2014 carries. Let's move on to our housekeeping items now. Are there any items that commissioners, staff, applicants, or members of the public would like to pull forward for action?
Mr. Chairman, the following items have been requested to be held in abeyance to the August 12, 2014 Planning Commission meeting. Item number 25, SUP 53624, and item number 52, TXT 54664. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any items they want to have us act on? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to obey items 25 and 52 to the August 12, 2014 meeting.
Motion is to obey items 25 and 52 until the August 12, 2014 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve abeyance of items 25, 52 to the August 12, 2014 meeting carries. We're going to move on to our consent items. Consent items are considered routine by the Planning Commission and may be enacted by one motion. However, any item may be discussed if a commission member or applicant so desires. Item number 7 and number 8. I'll entertain a motion, please.
Motion is to approve items 7 and 8 on the consent portion of the agenda.
Please vote. Motion to approve items number 7 and 8 carries.
Mr. Chairman, please note that item number 7 is final action in the absence of an appeal within 7 days, and item number 8 is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you. We now move on to the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda. The following are items that may be considered in one motion, one vote. They are considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public hearings and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda. It's my understanding that item 10 is to be brought in for public comment. Are there any other items that anybody would wish to be heard on? Seeing none, I will now go into the one motion, one vote portion, beginning with item number 9, which is TMP 54313, Summerlin Village 23B, parcel BB. The applicant is PN2 Inc. The owner is Howard Hughes Company, LLC. For possible action on a request for a corner of Desert Foothill, on a request for a tentative map for a 167-lot single-family residential subdivision at the southwest corner of Desert Foothills Drive and Far Hills Avenue in Ward 2, Councilman Beers. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 11 and item 12 are related. I'll begin with item number 11, which is SUP 54300. Applicant owner is Shri Ganesha Inc. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 6,662 square foot tavern limited establishment with 408 square feet of outdoor seating area at 700 Fremont Street in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Related item number 12 is SDR 54299. Applicant owner is Shri Ganesha Inc. For possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 6,662 square foot tavern limited establishment with 408 square feet of outdoor seating area with waivers of the downtown Centennial Plan architectural design standards. Staff is recommending approval. Going on to items 13 and 14, which are both related, beginning with item 13, which is SUP 54332. The applicant is LVCSD Saddle LLC. The owner is Trinity Peak 3 LLC. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a public school primary use located at the northeast corner of Trinity Peak Avenue and Fire Mesa Street in Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending approval. Related item 14, SDR 54330. The applicant is LVCSD Saddle LLC. The owner is Trinity Peak 3 LLC. For possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a two-story, 54,078 square foot public school primary building. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 15 is SUP 54000. The applicant owner is Oak Brook Realty Investment 2 LLC. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed bail bond service use at 321 South Casino Boulevard, Suite 115 in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 16 is SUP 54204. The applicant is Alex Moreno. The owner is Fong Family Trust. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed tattoo parlor/body piercing studio use at 2017 East Charleston Boulevard in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 17 is SUP 54292. The applicant is Juan M. Barrera. The owner is Rainbow Commercial LLC. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed beer wine cooler on sale establishment use within an existing 2,000 square foot restaurant at at 2300 North Rainbow Boulevard, Suite 108, in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 18 is SUP 54331. The applicant is Mall Entertainment LLC. The owner is Simon/Chelsea Las Vegas Development LLC. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 2,095 square foot beer wine cooler on sale establishment use at 885 South Grand Central Parkway, Suite 55 in Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 19 is SDR 54318. The applicant owner is International Church of the Four Square Gospel. For possible action on a request for a major amendment to a previously approved site development plan review, SDR 34172, for a proposed 1,730 square foot building addition, expansion of the parking lot with restriping, and a 17,931 square foot playground addition to an existing church house of worship at 7801 West Alexander Road in Ward 4, Councilman Anthony. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 20 is MSP 54265. The applicant is Abundant Grace Church. The owner is Patricia Eileen Iwamoto and Yi Stephen Yet Moon. For possible action on a request for a major amendment of an approved master sign plan to add one freestanding sign and one wall sign at an existing church house of worship at 2690 North Decatur Boulevard in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 21 is VAC 54112. The applicant owner is Ryland Homes Nevada, LLC, for possible action on a request for a petition to vacate public sewer easements on property generally located at the southeast corner of Elkhorn Road and Sky Point Drive in Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending approval. Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard on any of these items or have any of these items pulled for the public portion of the agenda? Seeing none, before we go to a motion, I need to, for the record, to abstain on item number 15, as my law firm has represented the applicant on numerous issues, and out of an abundance of caution, I will be abstaining on item number 15. With that said, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, before we begin, or before we entertain a motion on item number 16, SUP 54204, I live within the notification area, but it doesn't affect me any greater or lesser than anybody else, so I'll be voting on this matter.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Moody, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve item 9 and items 11 through 21 on the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda, noting the chair's abstention on item 15.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, please note that items 9, 11, 12, 15, 16, 19, and 21 are final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days. Items 13, 14, 17, 18, and 20 will be going forward to the August 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you. We're now going to go on to the public hearing items. I am going to call item number 54 out of order. Item 54 is DIR 54568. The applicant owner is Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce, Las Vegas, for discussion and possible action regarding a request. Beg your pardon? Yeah, I've got item, thank you, Commissioner. And I'll pick up where I left off on item number 54. For discussion and possible action regarding a request to designate the Harrison House as a historic building on the City of Las Vegas Historic Property Register as approved by Historic Preservation Commission at 1001 F Street. This is for R3 medium density residential zone Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Should I just go up there? Oh. Thank you. The City of Las Vegas Historic Preservation Commission has recommended approval of designating the Harrison Guest House as an historic building on the city's historic property register because it meets the criteria outlined in Title 19.10.150, excuse me, Section I, Designation of Historic Landmarks, District, Sites, Buildings, Structures, and Objects. Namely, it is determined to be of exceptional local significance and expresses a distinctive character because a significant portion of it is at least 40 years old. It is reflective of the city's cultural, social, political, or economic past, and it is associated with a person or event significant in local, state, or national history. On June 27, 2014, the Harrison Boarding House was designated on the Nevada State Register of Historic Places. An application for designation on the National Register of Historic Places is pending.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? And good evening. If you could state your names and records, your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. I'm Catherine Duncan, President of Las Vegas Ward 5 Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening. My name is Stanton Wilkerson. I'm at 1001 F Street, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us anything, or?
Okay. Good afternoon and evening. My name is Stanton Wilkerson, as I said, and I'm president of Harrison House, and that's a nonprofit organization that has come together to help with the with the nomination of the historic Harrison Guest House for the City of Las Vegas Registry of Historic Places, as well as the state and national Registry of Historic Places. It is being used now as a private residence. We hope to restore it so that we can do tours and public education and public benefit. Also, just have a place where we can discuss history of the city of Las Vegas and as it pertains to African American history and do some other social endeavors there as well.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, sir. I would just like to thank some people who have been so instrumental in making this project come about. And it started with the Home Depot Foundation, the International Air and Space Education Foundation, and just a whole bunch of veterans that have come about because Sammy Davis Jr. was probably one of the most noted veterans to live in the house and stay in the house. And we do have an outreach there to veterans in need. And I'm just so grateful to the City of Las Vegas for standing behind this project and seeing it to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I have your names and addresses, please?
I'm Legislative Attaché Gregory Martin, attached to the office of Joe Hogan, State Assemblyman. My address is 2900 South Valley View, Las Vegas, Nevada 89102. Mr. Hogan?
I'm Nevada State Assemblyman Joseph Hogan. I live close to the area concerned and wish to express my support for that move.
Thank you very much. Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners, or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's, I had an opportunity about probably 6 months ago with my company, Workforce Connections, to go over and actually tour the Harrison House and to look at the rooms and the history to see that, even back in the early 60s, and I got here in 1963, that, back in those days, black folks had to be across the tracks before 5 o'clock. And so Sammy Davis Jr. and a number of famous celebrities have stayed in this house, and to be able to tour it and stuff is monument. And I think it is appropriate to designate this as historic, not just for that, but I think for the history of West Las Vegas and for those, all people, and especially for those African American. I was born in the 60s, so I'm a black folk. So I think it's important that we continue that history through the West Side. So if there's no more questions or comments, I'll proudly make a motion to approve item 54, DIR 54568.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote.
And also Katie Duncan for being a stalwart and a champion in the West Side and keeping a lot of those memories and history alive and in the forefront. So good job for you as well.
Thank you.
And Stan.
Thank you, and the motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item will go forward to the August 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Okay, now we're going to go to item 10, which was pulled from the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda. Item number 10 is TMP 54314 Stonebridge. The applicant owner is Howard Hughes Company, LLC, for possible action on a request for a parent tentative map for a 19-parcel master plan village at the southwest corner of Alta Drive and Sky Vista Drive in Ward 2, Councilman Beers. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing a new parent tentative map for a portion of Summerlin Village 24 that will be located on approximately 456 acres of undeveloped land at the southwest corner of Alta Drive and Sky Vista Drive. The site will consist of large development parcels that will be further subdivided by future maps according to the land use assigned to them by the Village 24 Master Development Plan. The map conforms to the Summerlin Development Standards and Title 19 requirements for tentative maps. Therefore, staff recommends approval with conditions. Please note that within your backup materials, you will find an updated conditions of approval as submitted to the clerk that reflects an amended condition number 11. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Yes, I'm Josh Johnson with GC Wallace, 1555 South Rainbow Boulevard. We just wanted to make a clarification on item number 11 in the conditions. And if we could get that read into the record, that would be great. It is, yes, condition number 11. It's in the backup? Okay. Okay. We've been working with staff over the past week to amend this condition and agree with it as staff has changed it.
Okay, is it reflected in the, is it as reflected now, or do we have a change to that condition?
Mr. Chairman, I can read it just for clarification.
Certainly.
It's basically a shortened version of condition number 11 on the tentative map. It's to state an update to the previously approved master traffic impact analysis for this overall site, and then starting in parentheses, including sections addressing impacts to the proposed roadway network based on the proposed maximum densities, proposed street widths, locations of turn lanes, proposed traffic signal locations, proposed multi-use trail corridors, and pedestrian circulation, including pedestrian/school crosswalks, end of parentheses, shall be submitted to and approved by the Department of Public Works prior to the recordation of any maps dedicating public street rights-of-way.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion or a motion on the commissioners.
I'm not sure what we just heard. What was the issue in contention?
Mr. Chairman, through you, the previous condition was the exact same condition as it was in 2008 when they initially came through, and a special improvement district wasn't formed yet, so they didn't have the SID in place. Today they do have the SID in place, so we don't have to try to guarantee some of the infrastructure.
More clarification than addition of conditions.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners wish to be heard on this?
Mr. Chairman, through you, for Lucian. So basically, the whole second half of the condition is removed concerning the streetlights and everything else, that they'll bear the responsibility of that. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on item number 10.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Boner?
I move to approve TMP 54314 with all staff, the correction to the condition and with all other staff conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 10 carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 7 days.
Thank you.
We're now going to move on to related items 22, 23, and 24, beginning with item number 22, which is VAR 53923. The applicant owner is ESMI Properties LLC for possible action on a request for a variance to allow 2 parking spaces where a minimum of 9 spaces are required, and to allow a parking lot to have a non-paved surface at 5252 Rickey Road in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending denial. Related item number 23 is VAR 53924 for possible action on a request for a variance to allow no sidewalks, curbs, or gutters, and half-street improvements where such is required for a 60-foot minor collector street. Staff is recommending denial. Item number 24 is SDR 53925 for possible action on a request for a site development plan review to convert an existing 2,450 square foot residential use to a commercial use with waivers of all landscape buffer requirements. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant recently purchased this property. It is Zone C2. However, the previous owner failed to notify the new owners that the official change of land use from residential commercial was never obtained, resulting in a non-conforming residential property. The owners are proceeding with obtaining the commercial land use changes, but would like to keep the property as is, resulting in the need for the variances, a waiver, and exception. Staff finds that this is a self-imposed hardship and recommends denial of all applications. Please note we received additional letters of support since publication.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, Commissioner Kalangas and Planning Commissioners. Arnold Stock, 840 South Rancho Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada 89106, representing the owners, FEI Construction. As Mr. Rankin had said, the owners have been in business. They're general contractors. They've run a very good business. They have 5 employees for many years. They bought this property, was represented and warranted to them by the real estate brokers and others that it would to be continued as and be sold as and be used as a general construction office. It's been used that way for over 18 years. Their hours of operation are 5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. They were then cited by code enforcement, and we've been working with city staff and planning, code enforcement, building department, with council office, and had recently talked to Commissioner Goins about the property. It just is not financially feasible for them to make those improvements, but even more than that, it's one of those areas and one of those streets that transitions from a commercial strip like Rancho Drive to a rural area. I do have with me a support letter from NARA, the local neighborhood association. I believe it's been filed. I have another copy of it here, and I have 15 support cards with me from neighbors in the immediate area. And so we are available to answer any other questions you have. We are asking that you consider the variances and the SDR request that we have.
Thank you, Mr. Stock. And can you hand the clerk copies of those things so we can get it into the record, please?
Certainly.
Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter?
Thank you.
And sir, if you'll state your name and address, please.
Yeah, to Alan Helms, 724 Vantage Lane, 89145. I'm in support of this variance in this property. You know, every time we create a new law or ordinance or code books, or they always have consequences. And this particular one, this is a case where common sense needs to prevail over it, and I just ask for your support.
Thank you very much. Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? If there's other folks that are going to speak on this, I would ask that you start coming forward, and because we have 2 mics, actually 3 mics here you can line up on. Sir, if you could state it doesn't matter, either one. If you could state your name and address.
3404 Bond Court.
I'm sorry, I was speaking over you. I didn't catch your name.
Lamar Briley, B-R-I-L-E-Y, 3404 Bond Court, Las Vegas, Nevada. I live right around the corner from these people. I would like to point out that this building has been sitting there as a different construction company for 17, 18 years. They appeared before Northwest Area Residents Association last month to ask for support. We've looked at the property. We see no problem with them having their business there as is without making all those improvements. It certainly sits well with us. We don't see the need for continuing a sidewalk down 50 foot or curbs and gutters down 50 foot when it's not needed. It's been without that for all these years. So we're in favor of allowing these people to operate that building, in that building as it sits without making any major changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Goins?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the opportunity last night to attend the neighborhood meeting for another item, but the Forsyths happened to be at that meeting too. And so you've heard from Mr. Briley, who, again, we talked about history. If you want to go back, this is one of these neighborhoods that have been intact since about 64. I got to Vegas in 63, but truly a show of neighborhood support at the meeting last night. I think, just like the gentleman that just spoke says, it's no-brainer. You use common sense. The neighbors want to keep this portion of the city in its rural, natural state and character. They're very adamant, very concerned, and very involved in the neighborhood. So the wishes of the neighborhood last night, and not only Mr. Briley, who came, but also about 25 to 30 of his other neighbors that were out there last night, adamantly said, leave it alone. And Mr. Briley is the watchdog up there. I've actually seen him make radiator fluid stop running down the street just by looking at it. So, and he's not the Dos Equis guy either, but he's right up there along with him. So with that, if there's not any more questions or comments, I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve item 22.
Okay, just a moment, Commissioner Goins. Commissioner Bonar?
Just a technical question. There's a photograph that shows 3 cars parked in front, and it looks like there's room for 4 or 5 more. Why only 2 parking spaces if you've got room for more? Can that just be explained away?
I guess this would be to the west of where the 27-foot setback is. There's a gate that goes into that property. There certainly could be other cars there, but there's not enough room if you go across to have standard spaces and get access into the site.
Only going to be 2 people working at this facility?
I'm sorry?
Is there a maximum of 2 people who drive independently to the property?
No, there's 5 employees in the office.
Where do they park?
Well, can the owners come and speak to that a little bit?
Our employees park both in the front and in the, there's a side, they can park right in the back side of it. But I think the reason for the 2 spark, and it's actually been an issue with me. I didn't quite understand it either, because I felt like there was plenty of room there for additional parking. But the way it's drawn there, there's some ADA access that at one point in time was being requested of us, and the concern was that might take up some room.
And sir, we never got your name and address.
No, it's Tim Forsyth. I'm co-owner of FEI Construction and Esme Properties.
Thank you. Commissioner Bonar?
Yeah, well, I wasn't even going to bring up the handicap standard, but one of our missing commissioners tonight's quite avid about having handicap on any commercial operation, and this is C2. I guess I'm not satisfied with the response about why only two, and I'm inclined to deny the two only parking spaces.
There is actually space, Commissioner, for other cars here, and the plan that we have that was submitted has an accessible parking space with a stall in it. There's plenty of room for that. And
Commissioner,
it's on the site plan, so there's actually, we actually could fit more cars in there.
Okay, but I don't see it on a plan that you've got that. I see two parking spaces, period.
Okay.
Chairman.
Can
I'm
it
sorry.
be amended at the podium to fit the number of parking spaces?
Commissioner Slotman, and then I'll go to Commissioner Goins.
Yeah, I think maybe the point was missed, what Commissioner Bonar was asking. If you look at the front of the office, it looks like there's space for 5 vehicles parked in front of the
There
office
is.
building. Is that correct?
There is.
And so what you're saying is technically the way where the locations where the parking spaces are per planning code are around the corner or something, but if you calculate the entire distance in front of the commercial building, there's like an additional 5 spaces.
Yeah, you could.
So, and it looks like there's, that commercial building or house is set back up that street, maybe 30 feet. So even if every one of those cars was parked directly in front of the commercial building, it still wouldn't be hanging out in the street. Is that correct?
That's correct. They're 43 feet back from the property line.
So maybe not according to our planning code, but there's more than 2 parking spaces.
Absolutely.
And employees could pull through the gate and park in the back if they want it.
Absolutely.
And then you'd probably have an additional 20 spaces for employees.
That's correct.
So there might be 25 spaces here. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Goins?
I think Commissioner Slotman explained it perfectly, but I just also wanted to offer up the fact that this has been operating here for 18 years, and I think without taking it and making it look more commercial with a black top and a stripe space, I think the residents want to keep this rural nature and character and look. And we've got 50 feet of sidewalk coming from Rancho down this street that I think when we encroach over into the housing part, we want to keep it that way. And I think, you know, and I hear you, Commissioner, but I think history has dictated that this business has survived in its current state exactly the way it is for 18 years. So there hasn't been any problems with the parking and the handicap, and it's rural and it's wide open, and I think they want to see it that way.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll entertain a motion.
On item 22, abeyance VAR 53923, move for approval subject to all staff's recommendations and condition.
Please vote. Motion to approve item number 22 carries.
Item 23, abeyance variance 53924, move to follow all staff's recommendations for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 23 carries.
Item 24, SDR 53925, move to approve, subject to all staff's recommendations and condition.
Please, thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 24 carries.
Mr. Chairman, these items will be going forward to the August 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Moving on to item number 26, which is re-notification, item number 26, which is SUP 53907. The applicant owner is Sahara Center LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 3,800 square foot liquor establishment tavern at 10,000 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 100 in Ward 2, Councilman Beers. Staff is recommending approval, and staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request meets all the minimum special use requirements for and can be conducted in a compatible and harmonious manner within the existing shopping center. Staff is recommending approval of the application. Please note we have received additional letters of support and protest since publication.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Greg Borgel, 300 South 4th Street, here representing the developer of the center. This is a very nice center which is preparing to open. We think the first store going in will be a Sprouts, and that'll be later this month. The tavern here is a small and we think entirely compatible facility overall. We appreciate the staff's favorable recommendation. We agree to conditions. The only reason this was an abeyance item was that there was an error in the square footage that needed to be re-notified.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Bonar?
Yeah, I visited the site actually a couple of times. I think this is going to be a good center. I think it's an appropriate use. And we've certainly done enough tavern approvals in the past. It would be kind of ill for us to not approve this. So I move to approve abeyance item number SUP 539.
Before you start, Commissioner Bonar, Commissioner Goins wants to be heard or ask a question.
Mr. Miguel, how are you this afternoon?
Just fine, sir.
Just a
Yourself?
couple of questions on the backup. I was looking at a couple of people concerned about some lighting in the parking lot. Is that lighting going to be 24 hours?
There'll be security lighting, Commissioners, but the applicant understands the standard that he's not to light up other people's property. And of course, the center backs to the residential, so the lighting in large part will be in front of the center.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Bonar, go ahead.
Move to approve SUP 53907 with all staff conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 26 carries.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Mr. Chairman, this item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Moving on now to item number 27, which is SDR 53752. The applicant is Dottie's number 108. The owner is Hughes Family LLC number 3 et al. For possible action on a request for a major amendment to an approved plot plan review for the proposed 982 square foot expansion of a 3,890 square foot legal non-conforming liquor establishment tavern use and minor material changes to the elevations at 1690 North Decatur Boulevard in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. And before we have the staff report, I will have to abstain on this matter as I have represented the applicant's representative on numerous occasions, so I have an abundance of caution. I'll be abstaining. Staff, your report, please.
Mr. Vice Chairman, the proposed building additional will be located in the rear yard setback area and will be finished to match the existing exterior finish of the building. Additional site changes include restriping of the parking lot to incorporate ADA compliant parking spaces and relocation of the existing trash enclosure. This project meets all the minimum development standards for a commercial development and is compatible with surrounding development. As such, staff recommends approval of the project. Please note we have received additional letters of protest since publication.
Thank you. Would please hear from the applicant?
Vice Chairman, Commissioners, George Garcia, 1055 Whitney Ranch Drive, Henderson, Suite 210. Pleasure to be before you, and a pleasure to be involved in this particular project where we're taking a very old casino building and basically going to breathe a substantial new life into it with the upgrade staff's mentioned, but we're also completely renovating the facade of the building, adding some parapets to hide the mechanical equipment, adding additional landscaping and connectivity to the front sidewalks. And we appreciate staff's recommendations, and I'd be happy to go into and answer any questions, go into any details that you would like.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Does anyone else wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment and open this to discussion among the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is long overdue on this stretch of road. It almost was to the point where this building was in blight. So I'm glad to see Mr. Garcia come in and really spruce up the place. I have no more questions. If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval on SDR 53752, subject to all staff recommendations and condition.
You'll entertain, or is that your motion?
That is the motion.
Okay, thank you.
I can entertain us till 12 o'clock if you want.
Please vote. That motion carries, noting the abstention of the chair. And item 29?
Thank you. Good night.
Oh,
Mr.
is that
Vice
not
Chair.
related?
Just going to announce that this item goes forward to the August 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on now to related items 28 and 29, beginning with item 28, which is GPA 54247. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas. For possible action on a request for a general plan amendment from PCD, Planned Community Development, to PF, Public Facilities at 9043 Ackerman Avenue in Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending approval. Related item number 29 is ZON 54249. For possible action on a request for a rezoning from C2 General Commercial to CV Civic in Ward 6, Councilman Ross again. Staff is also recommending approval for that item. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this site contains 4 temporary modular structures and a parking lot that are occasionally used as Fire Station 141, and the applicant, the city, is amending this request in order to facilitate the future permanent fire station and a metro substation, and recommends approval of both applications.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please?
You just did.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry. I'll open this up for public discussion. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion and open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion is to approve item 28, GPA 54247, following staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. Commissioner, please vote. Motion to approve item number 28 carries.
And on related item 29, ZON 54249, move to approve, also following staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner, please vote. Motion to approve item number 29 carries.
Mr. Chairman, these items will go forward to the August 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to related items 30, 31, and 32, beginning with item number 30, which is GPA 54270. The applicant is Daniel Tuizer, owner is Aquino Family Trust. For possible action on a request for a general plan amendment from ML, Medium Low Density Residential, to SC Service Commercial at the northwest corner of Smoke Ranch Road and Michael Way in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending denial. Related item 31 is ZON 54271 for possible action on a request for a rezoning from RE Residential Estates to C1 Limited Commercial. Staff is recommending denial. Related item 32 is SDR 54272 for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for 2 proposed general retail buildings totaling 16,305 square feet and a 2,203 square foot restaurant. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the new commercial buildings proposed here don't require any variance waivers or exceptions and adhere to the minimum requirements of Title 19. However, staff cannot support the requested general plan amendment and rezoning applications that would allow for commercial development, as they are too intense and intrusive for the surrounding properties, in particular for the single-family residents located to the northwest and south. As such, staff recommends denial of all the applications. Please note we have received letters of protest and support since publication.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant? And good evening, ma'am. If you could state your name and address, please.
Yes, thank you. My name is Sue Marshall. I'm with VTN. Our address is 2727 South Rainbow, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here representing the applicant. And as staff has indicated, we have 3 applications before you tonight. The first one is the general plan amendment to change the general plan from medium-low density residential to service commercial. We have a zone change before you from RE Residence Estates to C1 Limited Commercial, and finally the site development plan review for 3 commercial buildings. The first building, A, is 9,045 square feet. Retail B is 7,260 square feet. And the quick service food, pad C, is 2,203 square feet. And this is for a total of 18,508 square feet. Retail B is located 74 feet from the closest residential property line. The code requires 66 feet, so we exceed that requirement. Retail A is located 121 feet from the closest residential property, and again, this is required to be 66 feet, so we exceed that requirement. As staff has indicated, our site plan meets all code requirements for lot coverage, setbacks, number of parking spaces, the loading zones, and the trash enclosures. On our landscaping plan, you will see that we meet the requirements for the landscaping also. We are providing a 15-foot landscaping strip along Michael Way and along Smoke Ranch Road. We're providing the required 10 feet along both the north and the west property lines. As far as the architecture, the maximum height of the building at the parapet is 22 feet. The main part of the building is 18 feet. As you can see, we have 3 different color schemes with a stone veneer on the buildings. We feel that the request to change the general plan and the rezoning is appropriate for several reasons. One, this site is located along Smoke Ranch Road, which is a 100-foot arterial roadway. Number 2, the site is not a viable residential site. The houses in the surrounding areas were developed in the 1980s and the 1990s. This site has remained undeveloped, and so it is shown that this is not a viable residential site, or it would have developed by now as a residential site. Additionally, this will provide needed products and services for the immediate community, and will provide for employment opportunities for the community also. So with that, we would recommend that you approve the general plan, the zone change, and the site development plan. We've reviewed the conditions of approval that staff has provided, and we concur with all of those, and we request your approval this evening.
Thank you very much. Are you part of the applicant, or are you? Okay, I'll now open this up for public comment. Any members of the public who wish to be heard, please come on up. Sir, if you'll state your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. My name is John Kennelly. I'm at 2416 Bay Meadow Circle. I am at the house directly north to the property, the one with the pool. I've been in that house for almost 8 years. I purchased that house in September of 2006. I paid $295,000 for it. It has barely creeped over $100,000 right now, so it's I'm extremely upside down. I have never missed a payment. I've never needed any government assistance. I'm going to continue to pay my debt, continue to raise my family in this house. I am a small business owner. I'm also a member of the military. I'm an officer in the Nevada Air National Guard out of Reno. I work out of my house and out of Virginia, so I travel to Virginia and Afghanistan every month. I go to Virginia every month, Afghanistan every quarter. I go to Reno every month. For me to have a facility like this, or these facilities right next to my family, causes great concern for me. I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it causes great concern that my 1-year-old, her room is right next to the wall that faces where this property will go. Bigger concern I have is if you look at crimemapping.com, from my address, there have been 408 reported crimes within 1 mile of this address. Taking away fraud, disturbance, and vandalism, which I don't put as high a priority, there are still 219 crimes in the surrounding area, most of which happen at Jones and Smoke Ranch. And if you go down further to Lake Mead and Jones, both of those areas have commercial facilities that already exist that are unoccupied, and I don't feel that there is any need to add additional commercial facilities in this area. I think it will cause a greater impact, negative impact on the environment, and it causes great concern for me and my family.
Thank you. Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Goings?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wow, let me take a breath. It meets all the standards. You're absolutely right. It's a 100-wide street on Smoke Ranch. There's another opinion on whether this site is viable for residents, but I think with the intensity that you want to put a 7,000 square foot building, a 9,000 square foot building, and then the only word I could say is the audacity to want to throw a fast food restaurant in there, or fast food with in-and-out drive-through. This would be nice if it was on the corner of Smoke Ranch and Decatur, where they intersect and the traffic can be there, but you are seriously encroaching into a neighborhood. And again, this is another older neighborhood. And about the only thing I see that would go there in these neighborhoods that makes sense would almost be a fire station. That'd be about all, or a park. But I cannot find any way to vote for approval on this item tonight. I think it just puts too much burden into this neighborhood with commercial uses.
Any other commissioners wish to be heard? Commissioner Slaughman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you. I think it's a beautiful looking building and elevations and this and that, but I mean, there's hardly any commercial in that area, and I'll echo the same thing that Commissioner Goins said. Fast food, especially in a area that's highly developed, on every corner, I'm sure they don't want to be smelling the grease pans and everything else pouring into all those little neighborhoods. So I don't think that's what they signed up for. So I'm not sure if I could support this either.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, on item 30, GPA 54-270, I move to follow staff's recommendation for denial.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote, and please note that a yes vote is for denial. Motion to deny item number 30 carries.
Mr. Chairman, item 31, ZON 54-271, move to follow staff's recommendations for denial.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote, and please note that a yes vote is for denial. Motion to deny item number 31 carries.
Item 32, SDR 54272, move to follow staff's recommendation for denial.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote, and again, yes vote is for denial. Motion to deny item number 32 carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to thank you for your service to the country, and be safe when you're going back and forth between Afghanistan, so you come back and see your family, and we're praying for you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, please note that these items will go forward to the August 20th City Council meeting with a recommendation for denial from the Planning Commission.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Going on to related items 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37, beginning with item number 33, which is GPA 54321. The applicant owner is John C. Frommer and Debbie A. Frommer for possible action on request for a general plan amendment from DR Desert Rural Density Residential to GC General Commercial at 3730 Tom Boulevard in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending denial. Related item number 34 is ZON 54322 for possible action on request for a rezoning from RE Residence Estates to C2 General Commercial. Staff is recommending denial. Related item number 35 is VAR 54323 for possible action on request for a variance to allow no additional off-site improvements where complete street standards require provision of a 5-foot sidewalk, a 5-foot amenity zone, and other amenities. Staff is recommending denial. Related item 36 is VAR 54324 for possible action on request for a variance to allow parking on an unpaved surface where such is not allowed, to allow outdoor storage within building setbacks where not allowed, and to allow an existing 6-foot chain link fence and a 6.5-foot block wall where an 8-foot wall or solid structure is required for screening. Staff is recommending denial. Related item 37, which is SDR 54325, for possible action on request for a site development plan review for an existing food processing facility and restaurant with waivers of perimeter landscape standards to allow 0-foot buffers along the north, south, and east property lines where 8 feet is required, and a 0-foot buffer along the west property line where 15 feet is required. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this site contains a single-family dwelling and a meat processing facility that has been legally in operation since 1956. 1963, the Clark County Board of Zoning Adjustments required and approved a variance to allow a meat and deer processing business at this location for a period of 5 years. The property was then annexed into the city, and subsequent extension of times were approved by the city from 1968 to 1979. 1979, the city required a zone variance to allow the meat processing plant at this location, and that had required reviews from 1979 to 2002. And it approved all of those, and the last one was heard in 2002. One of the conditions of approval of the final RQR was that no expansion of the use shall be permitted. Sometime after 2002, a takeout restaurant was established outside of the current meat processing plant. The applicant proposes to legitimize the restaurant use by amending the future land use designation from residential to commercial, rezoning the property, and obtaining a variance for allowances of unpaved parking surfaces and the lack of sidewalk and streetscape improvements. No perimeter landscaping would be added beyond what is provided today. Several structures have been constructed, including a 15-foot tall gazebo and temporary tent as part of the takeout restaurant portion. 300-square-foot restroom facility is proposed at the site for the restaurant. The existing uses on site are incongruent with the low-density single-family residential uses that surround it. Redesigning of the allowed, or the redesignation of the allowed land use and rezoning would serve to legitimize and perpetuate non-conforming uses and would open the site to other uses. Most of the development standards for C2 zoning district cannot be met and must either be varied or waived. As such, staff is recommending denial of all applications. Please note we have received additional letters of protest and support since publication.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Bob Gronauer, 8345 West Sunset Road. To my right is the owner, Mr. Chuck Frommer, who's here tonight in case if you have any questions for him. I'd like to get your attention to the overhead here for the exhibit that I have. What I have here, you can see on the overhead, is the existing property itself. It is about 1.8 to 2 acres of property. As staff has mentioned, there is an existing meat processing facility which is located right here on the property. One of the interesting facts about this and why I like representing this item after all the other items I've represented over the many years is the fact that I'm actually standing here representing an item where this is a business that was in effect in 1943 by Chuck's family, and it's still in existence today. And I believe this might be one of my first items that I don't even know if they had zoning laws back in 1943 where the meat processing facility was in existence. So for me, it's sort of a landmark standing before you to say I finally represented an item. I don't know if I'm young or old by saying that, but if anything, it's pretty interesting to stand here in today's environment, especially with the recession that we went through over the last several years, to have Chuck standing before you and saying, yes, there is a business that started in 1943 and 70 years plus later, it's still run by the same family. With respect to the additional things that they've done for over about 20 years, the family has run a catering service out of this business, and just recently, within the last year, they added the restaurant component, so to speak, which you could see here is a temporary shade structure with some outdoor seating area, and another area in this here that says Grub Shack covered for outdoor seating. The reason why he expanded to the restaurant portion is if you follow reality TV, this was on a national TV show as far as some of the places that people should go and visit. And one of the thought processes, innocently, since he's been running the business and doing the catering business over the period of time that I mentioned to you, thought it was harmless to add the restaurant component since it was featured on a national TV show. Since then, you've had thousands of people visit this area of tourists that has come here to this facility itself. The residents in this area, many of them grown up in this area and support Chuck. And I'm going to use Chuck by his first name here because we've had 2 neighborhood meetings over the last several weeks. The neighborhood meetings, first time I've ever attended, where I've had elected officials from both the county and the city that actually attended these meetings. We've had neighbors in Nora. I appreciate their comments and support with respect to the application. And it's just nice when you go to a neighborhood meeting such as this, where you have 25 plus neighbors that show up, and they, for the most part, show up in support because they want to make sure we can do whatever we can do to keep the business intact. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is go through some of the conditions that we'd ask you to, if you're inclined to support the application, to add as conditions. And before I get that, there was a question about what do we do with our parking in this area since we're not going to be putting paving in here. Well, Chuck, as you can see here, down here as I'm showing you, there's a water truck. What he does is, especially in the summer, he waters this area down every day, but he also puts peat gravel in here once or twice a year with respect to the parking surface area that's there. But that being said, what I'd like to do is start off with the GPA, the General Plan Amendment. The Nora Association has mentioned that they would like to see C1 zoning on the property. And as I was driving over here, we didn't address yesterday at the neighborhood meeting about the general commercial GPA that's before you tonight. What I'd like to do is ask you to approve the GPA to service commercial. And the reason is because in working with the neighbors, a zone change application was asking for C2 zoning. The neighbors have asked us to do the C1 zoning. And I got a letter from Nara here that made a pretty compelling argument why they would rather see C1 zoning on the property itself instead of C2. Now, because of that, there's a little bit of a domino effect on the conditions itself, okay? And I do apologize to staff with respect to the GPA because I didn't think about it until I was coming over here because we were all focused, at least yesterday when my partner Jennifer Lazovich was at the neighborhood meeting. They were talking about doing C1 zoning on the or C1 zoning versus C2. And I figured if we're going to do C1 to allow the restaurant, we might as well drop the GPA down from general commercial to service commercial because you can still do C1 in service commercial. So that being said, on planning condition number 1 underneath the site development plan review, there's a condition that says the existing variance shall be expunged. What we would ask is if you approve the application subject to C1, that condition be removed. And the reason is because here, which has been in operation since 1943, was approved subject to a use variance on the property. We would have to keep that use variance in place because a meat processing facility is not allowed in a C1 zone. So from a technical aspect, that's what we're asking if you're inclined to approve service commercial in the C1 zoning. And then I also, at last night's meeting, and we told the neighbors the reason why we had a second meeting last night is to go over some proposed conditions of some of the things that they brought up from the first meeting. And I'm just going to read the 3 conditions we'd like to see if they could be added in for the record. And I believe earlier this week, or yesterday, we sent them on over to staff, and they were a part of the neighborhood meeting last night. One of the added conditions is it states that any significant changes to the site plan shall require a public hearing wherein notice will be provided to neighbors pursuant to Title 19 notice requirements. Concern is from the neighbors is what happens if Chuck goes away? What happens if the Chuck's business is no longer there? Are we going to get notice if somebody's going to do something different? That's the reason why we have that there for a condition. Second condition is the hours of operation for the restaurant shall be Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. One of the neighbors mentioned about the operations, the hours of operations for the restaurant, wanted to put that in as a condition so at least they could be comfortable to know the hours of operation for the restaurant. And the last one, I don't know if this is enforceable or not, but I wanted to make sure in good faith in working with the neighbors, and I believe from Mr. Rankin this may not be enforceable, but I wanted to at least put it on the record that we wanted to say that no other uses are allowed on the property except for the current uses that are being proposed. It's just in good faith to reach out to the neighbors and let them know that Chuck has been there, his family's been the neighbor there, everybody's grown up in this area, and they want to do everything possible to keep the business open, and we want to put enough safeguards on the application to make everybody feel safe and comfortable with the application itself. So that being said, I don't have anything else to add. I'm sure Nara's here. There might be some other people who want to speak on this application. Chuck and I are both here to answer any other questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gronauer. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? I see we have quite a few coming up, so if you can line up, we've got more than one mic, and I would also ask that you keep your comments to 2 minutes or less, please.
Yes, Lamar Briley, 3404 Bond Court, 89130. Chuck has been in the center of Nara for all the length of time that I've lived there. So I've lived in the Nara area for 15 years. Nara wants him to stay. We'd hate to see you put so many restrictions on him that he couldn't stay in business. Also, just what wasn't brought out, he has hired, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 people. I'd hate to see him go out of business and put more people out of business. But he's a great guy. This place belongs right in the middle of our area. I know it might not be okay for some other area, but this one is okay. So we'd like for you to keep him there, whatever it takes, zoning changes, variances, whatever it takes. We'd like to see him stay there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, if you could state your name and address, please.
Lex Anderson, 3709 Waterhole Street. I'm the Nara historian. Is it fair to assume that the service commercial is the same as C1? Is that right?
Not necessarily. Mr. Rankin?
Yeah.
His question was C1, was it the same as service commercial?
Yes, service commercial is the land use designation that corresponds to the zoning, which is C1. So
Okay.
service commercial equals C1 for land use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. As of 2014, our neighborhood association has been in operation for 20 years. This year we've been around. We're familiar with zoning, variances, buffers, and the like, but this is the first time we've had to work with the topic of text amendments, and we understand that text amendments are going to be involved with this C1. At our neighborhood association meeting on the 16th, we're inclined to believe that the only option we had was C2 or nothing. But the more we looked at C1, the more the Roadkill Grill looked like the poster child for C1. When we looked at the Unified Development Code, the permitted use tables, it was clear that C2 was overkill for the zoning. You all are intimately familiar with what C2 allows. I don't have to go there. For us, it would be a Pandora's box for all the reasons that you're aware of if it went for C2. Restaurants fit both into C1 and C2, you know that. But the Roadkill Grill is not Famous Dave's. It's not the barbecue, it's not the Outback, it's not the Olive Garden. And Tom Road is not Craig Road, it's not Decatur, and it's not Rancho. The Roadkill Grill fits right into where it is, in the middle of a rural preservation neighborhood where it has historical roots with its parent business of Mull's Meat. Last night, we learned that if we went for C2, everything would be relatively easy for everyone involved, for the Planning Commission, City Council, and for the Neighborhood Association. But if we went for C1, we would have to have a text amendment, and that would take time, and there would be no guarantees. It would be the easy way. It would not be the easy way to get things done. Sometimes in life, the easy way out is not the right way out. And for the Roadkill Grill to go C2 for our neighborhood, it's not the right way out. We need to do the right thing. That's why we've been striving for the past 20 years. Again, in so many ways, the Roadkill Grill looks like the poster child for C1. So we would like to work.
Thank you on the time there, and just so you know, they've put it to C1, so you really don't have to come down here and talk about C2 tonight.
That's fact. Okay. So anyhow, we would really appreciate your assistance with this.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank
I appreciate it, and sorry I had to cut you short. Sir, if you could state your name and address, please.
My name is Harvey Sterrett, 3701 Bradley Road, Las Vegas, Nevada. As a current member of NARA, and also one of the new residents in the area for the past couple of years, we'd like to see it stay as it is. It's a wonderful place to live, and we don't want to see it change.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Ma'am, come on up. If you could state your name and address, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Linda Young. I live at 3625 Bradley Road, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89130. I moved to this particular address in 1979. Believe it or not, this is horse property, and this is it was and still continues to be a very rural kind of community. We've chosen to stay there. We've had a lot of opportunities to move to other locations, but we like that community. Down the street is a beautiful garden, probably going to be one of the best gardens in the city. What we like about the Mull Meat Market was that they were here before all of our homes were here, even my home. Mull Meat Market is a part of the community. It is a part of the neighborhood. Good neighbors make good friends. What John Mull's family has done, I just went to an event over at Texas Station. I know my time is running out. I ran to an event at Texas Station, and John Mull has supported the USA Track and Field youth programs and a number of neighborhood and community programs. We support this John Mull's Meat Market and his expansions. It's compatible. Everything they say and what the attorney says is what we want in that community, and we fight. Those of you that know us, we fight everything. We fight any encroachment, but we want this. We want John Mull, we want the Chuck Fromer. We know that what they're going to do is going to provide the support to the community, and it is very compatible to us and the community. We thank you very much, and our CC&R is consistency, compatibility, and rural. That's what we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, if you could state your name and address, please.
Thank you. My name is Mike Malone. I live at 3660 Tom Boulevard. Tom Boulevard. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Anyhow, that's where Chuck's Meat Market is. Since about 30 years ago, when I moved into the area, that place was there. And I have had no complaints living 3 doors away. The only problem that I have is when I'm out in my front yard is people stop by and I think, oh, they want to say hi. That is not it. They want to know where Mull's Meats are. Consequently, from what the attorney says and the others have testified to, I agree with. This is an unusual situation that is happening. We have stopped or attempted to stop all commercial in our area, which is residential there. This is an exception to the rule. Consequently, I recommend that the proposals that are recommended here be carried out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, let me just speak briefly to the request to change the general plan amendment to service commercial and the rezoning to C1. The code does allow you to reconsider a lesser intensity use, so you can do that as part of your motion this evening. In terms of the meat processing plant, it is not permitted in the C1 zoning district, so Mr. Gronauer is correct. What you would need to do if you're going to recommend approval of that is to to remove condition number 1 on item 37. What that does is that keeps the use variance in place for the meat processing plant, and it continues to operate under that use variance, and then the restaurant operates under the C1 limited commercial zoning district. So again, you can make those proposed changes that have been proposed by the applicant this evening. You would need to remove condition number 1 on item number 37.
Thank you, Director. Any of the commissioners wish to be heard? Commissioner Moody?
Thank you very much. I live in the neighborhood. I'm not in the notice area, but I'm just down the street. And the Roadkill Grill is an icon in our area. You're a great neighbor. You've done a lot of good things for the community. I only have one complaint, and that is your lines are too long because so many people are coming there to eat your food. But you'll see my support on this to make this work.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sloman?
Yes, Chairman, through you. Question for Bob Gronauer. Could you repeat what you're saying about if anything substantially changes, that it would come back before us, as if somebody come in, purchase this property and want to build some other restaurant? And then I also want to ask planning, is that acceptable and enforceable and something they would agree with?
To answer your question, is the whole intent is, even if Chuck decides to, say, change the outdoor sitting area from X square feet to Y square feet, and it's considered a significant change, we got to come back through a public hearing process to address that with the neighbors. And then also, it's the fallback if Chuck leaves, something happens to Chuck, as we all discuss in these meetings. I told Chuck we might as well do the estate and wills for Chuck, is we're all talking about what happens when Chuck leaves. But in all seriousness, that's why we have that there, in case somebody wants to change something with the existing use that is there. So if there's any significant changes, it has to come back through a public hearing process.
And Mr. Chairman, through you, Title 19 allows the Planning Commission to reserve the right to have any item come before it, as it's already before it, as a public hearing, and that's per Title 19.16.100, I believe.
Thank you. Commissioner Sloman?
Yes. And one other question, and I don't have any problem with the off-site improvements. There's no other off-site improvements in that little stretch anyways, but just from a dust control standpoint, I haven't been out there, but I've heard that you've done a great job with keeping the dust down, but would you be willing to make a condition that you would keep up with any kind of dust mitigation procedures that's currently in place to where dust isn't flying freely off of that lot?
Yeah, one of the things that I mentioned is, maybe I wasn't clear in the presentation, is number one, what Chuck has been doing for years is he puts peat gravel down once or twice a year out in the parking lot area itself. And then on top of that, like for now, for example, for the summer, you see this little, well, if you look on the overhead, I'm showing you this yellow, it's not little, but the yellow truck here is a water truck. And the water truck, he takes out there every day now in the summer, and he wets it down, but he also wets it down during the year. So we have dust mitigation measures already in place. He's already done that on his own over the years. So I believe we do meet that. But if there's something in there that we need to periodically work with Public Works to address the issue, but we believe we've addressed the issue right there.
Mr. Chairman, I did hear your presentation the first time, but I just wanted to know if you would condition it to make sure that you keep up with dust mitigation procedures, because what if you did sell this place and somebody kept that same tent, but they didn't keep up with this? That would be a way that we could bring them back to Planning Commission, and I do understand that he's doing a great job And if he continues doing a great job, it would never come back to Planning Commission. But it's always a concern of mine, you know, when there's not a paved area that we're approving, that somebody can come in the future. And but this would just be an easy way for us to bring it back in before us and then require them to put in paved parking lot, or somebody else to put in paved parking lot in the future.
That's fine. We can accept it as a condition. I understand what you're asking.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just interject there, what we might do, if that's a condition that the Planning Commission wishes to impose upon this site plan, that the condition be worded to basically be in conformance with the Clark County Department of Air Quality Standards. And I think we can leave it at that.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Director. Commissioner Goins?
Good. I think, and Commissioner Schlotman, you from Dallas, and you ain't been out to the roadkill and got a rib yet? Something's wrong. What's wrong with you? So
this week.
And another note, I go out there often, and I drive a truck, and people know me. I like to keep them white walls clean on that truck so you can see that Michelin. And I drove in there last night on that Pete Moss and came home, and I could still see that Armor All and that white on that Michigan. So he keeps that parking lot, though it's peat down there, he keeps it very clean. Again, last night, as I won't be long on this point, one of the sentiments that came out of that meeting last night from most of the neighbors is, what can we do for Chuck? And I've heard that probably about 15 times coming from the audience. And the neighbors basically said, whatever we need to do to keep Chuck there, we need to do it. And so I think through that neighborhood meeting last night, we've resolved all the issues and have got this to a point where I think it is approvable. We also talked about the future and why we zone this in case half of the place burns down. If he had to build it back again, he'd be in compliance. But another lady asked another question that I thought kind of put it out there in the future of what's going to happen with this property. She got up and asked Chuck, is there anybody in the family that's being groomed to take this business? And Chuck motioned back to his son. How old is he?
18.
He's 18. So when he said he's being groomed, I knew that from another 50 to 60 years from now, that building will still be there. Maybe my son or Mr. Gronauer's son may be up here doing the next presentation of that. And so if there aren't any more questions, I'm, Mr. Chairman, ready to make a motion.
Commissioner Goins, I think Commissioner Bonar has some comments.
Just wanted to add one thing. I think doing the parking lot dust control by way of the pea gravel and the frequent watering is probably 100 times better than anything chemical that you can apply, so I applaud you for that. And I also applaud the creation of the 3 new conditions that you've proffered, because that makes all the difference in the world. And then I also want to say thank you for finding a way not to have to do a text amendment and allowing the meat cutting processing to stay there. I will support this application.
And I would just add, for me, my comments are very simple. This is a no-brainer. So Commissioner Goins?
If I could, just with regard to that third condition, I don't believe that's an enforceable condition with regard to permanently leaving that there. So that's one you probably could not add.
Thank you.
Exactly, and I hope we don't overthink these things, because I know if there was something wrong out there, the neighbors would let us know, and we would know. And just thank Dr. Linda Young. I know she's an elected official. She's part of the Clark County School Board, who lives out there as well, in case you didn't know. So I'll go ahead and make a motion on item 33, GPA 54321. I would move for approval of changing from DR to SC Service Commercial, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote.
Item 30.
Motion to approve item number 33 carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 34, ZON 54322, move for approval from RE Residential Estates to C1 on item limited commercial on item 34.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 34 carries.
Item 35, VAR 54323, move for approval, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 35 carries.
Item 36, VAR 54324, move for approval, subject to all staff's recommendations and condition.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner. Please vote.
To the motion maker, does that include the condition of following the Department of Air Quality's standards?
Mr.
for
Chairman,
dust
that
control?
item would go on number 37, the site plan.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Thank you. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 36 carries.
Item number 37, SDR 54325. I'm going to move for a recommendation of approval, although I want to remove condition number 1. And I'd also like for the planning director to read in the condition, the proper condition regarding air quality, and we'll add that as a condition.
The property owner shall conform to Clark County Department of Air Quality standards relative to dust mitigation on the site.
That would be my motion.
And may I have clarification, the first two conditions that I read in, make sure that those are added also, if that's...
And let's just state those again for the record. The first one is relative to any changes.
Yeah, I have, any significant changes to the site plan shall require a new public hearing, wherein notice shall be provided to the neighbors pursuant to Title 19 notice requirements. And then the second added condition would be that the hours of operation for the restaurant shall be Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 8 p.m.
Thank you.
That would be the motion.
Okay.
If we can get a clarification on significant changes, I believe Flynn said that was 10% above.
Just to define significant changes, as Mr. Rankin has already stated on the record, significant change is defined in Title 1916.100 relative to site plans. Basically, anything greater than 10% over what has been approved requires them to go back through a major site plan review process, and so that would require public notice of the neighbors.
Thank you. Please vote. Motion to approve item 37 with the condition changes carries.
And Mr. Chairman, these items go forward to the August 20th City Council meeting with a recommendation of approval on all items.
Thank you very much and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And Chuck, I'll be there before Friday, not to get some bologna, but I'll come by there to get some bologna with that yellow cheese. Thank you.
We'll be waiting.
There you go.
Moving on to related items 38 and 39, beginning with item number 38, which is VAR 54317. The applicant is Shipping Containers LLC. The owner is Dan and Stephanie Martinez. For possible action on a request for a variance to allow an existing 8.5-foot tall front yard fence where 5 feet is the maximum height allowed at 715 and 727 Fremont Street in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending denial. Related item 39 is SDR 54316 for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed temporary commercial development and plaza with waivers of all downtown Centennial Plan development standards. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the site is currently entitled for a mixed-use high-rise development. The subject site was also approved to operate as a temporary construction yard, and that temporary use expired on March 18th of 2014. The applicant has proposed to continue to utilize the subject site as a temporary development under the provisions of Title 19.16.100K, which allows a site plan to be approved concurrent with other approved developments and staff does recommend approval of the site plan. In regards to the variance request for the fence, staff finds this to be a self-imposed hardship and is recommending denial. Please note, we have received additional comments since publication.
Mr. Chairman, before we begin, I have an ongoing business relationship with the applicant, and therefore I'll be abstaining on this matter. And
thank you, Commissioner. We could hear from the applicant, please.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioner members. Todd Kessler, 261 Las Vegas Boulevard North, on behalf of the applicant. First of all, let me just say that the Roadkill Grill is one of the most finest establishments here, and I can't believe, Trinity, that you haven't been there. That's amazing. And so I'm happy that that passed. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Learning Village. That is the project, the temporary project that we are bringing forth here tonight for a site development review, as well as a variance request for the existing front yard fence. Hopefully you guys know the Learning Village. It is basically a series of construction trailers that we've put down that have now become entrenched in the community. We hold many, many items there. We hold Al-Anon meetings. We have a workforce training program out of there. We have childcare. We've had the Boy Scouts of America's graduation ceremonies there. We've had many other things that benefit the community. We want to continue that. As Mr. Rankin indicated, this is a temporary entitlement. There is an existing high-rise entitlement on this project, and we wish the Martinez family the best of luck with that project. But in the meanwhile, we want to continue to use it as such to benefit the community in many different learning fashions. As the staff report indicates, we brought forward this construction trailers to be our construction headquarters for all the projects that we have downtown. It continues to be that for us. The staff report mentions many projects that have now been finished. We are about to begin a big series of projects. Hopefully you've seen the venue at Vegas, which is across the street. That's begun. We're going to be bringing forth through the next track our first residential project. I'm happy and excited about that. We'll talk about that as we come forth in August. But here tonight, we're on behalf asking you to support, subject to staff's conditions. I want to talk about the fence issue. Just so you know, when we built it, we mirrored it after the Harvard entrance. I'm showing a photograph here on the podium of the entrance that we mirrored it off of. There's two entrances that kind of give it the flair for the Harvard yard or where you can park the car. I'll show one more image of the Harvard fence. And again, when we designed it, we kind of thought of that as it relates to the Learning Village. I'm now going to show you a photograph of the existing condition. Again, not exact replica, but pretty somewhat similar in theme and urn style. Again, I just want to point out one thing. The reason it's an 8.5-foot fence variance is because that's what the pedestals are. The fence itself is a 6-foot fence that undulates on an arc. So I just want you to think that it is 8.5 feet tall. Again, we'd ask that you approve subject to all staff's conditions. I'm here to happy and welcome any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Saying none, I will close the public comment portion, open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, on item 38, move for approval of VAR 54317, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 38 carries.
Item 39, SDR 54316, move for approval, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 39 carries.
Thank you. Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, these items are final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you. Have a good night. Moving on to item number 40, which is VAR 54206. Applicant owner is Leonard Smith for possible action on request for a variance to allow a 1,500 square foot accessory structure, Class 3, where 1,108 square feet is the maximum floor area allowed at 1324 Jackson Avenue in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, no evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance has been presented in that the applicant has created a self-imposed hardship by proposing to construct a 1,500 square foot garage where 1,108 square feet is the maximum floor area allowed by code. Alternate design of the proposed accessory structure could allow for conformance to Title 19 requirements. In view of the absence of any hardship imposed by the site's physical characteristics, it is concluded that the applicant's hardship is preferential in nature, and staff recommends denial of the variance request. Please note additional letters of support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant? And sir, if you state your name and address, please.
My name is Leonard Smith at 1324 Jackson Avenue, 89106. I have several classic vehicles, and I need to pull my vehicles out of the elements, and I have all this space, and I would like to build this garage if possible.
Thank you, sir. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion and open up for discussion amongst the commissioners, beginning with Commissioner Goins.
Mr. Chairman, I've actually known Mr. Smith and known him for probably 30 years. honorable man, has lived in this community, especially in this neighborhood. He's almost like the Nara neighborhood of the north. He's kind of Mr. Nara in the middle of the west side. I don't have an issue with giving him the additional square footage that he wants for his accessory structure, and I think he's made a compelling enough argument that he wants to bring his cars inside, outside of the elements and work on them. And we know what, although today was a nice day with overcast and rain, we're going to pay for that next week, and you know what the temperature's going to be. So without any further ado, I'd go ahead and make motion for approval. If there aren't any more questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Approval of item 40 VAR 54206, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 40 carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Have a good night.
Thank
Item number 41 is VAR 54353. The applicant owner is Sharon Williams for possible action on a request for a variance to allow a 0-foot side yard setback where 5 feet is required and a 4-foot rear yard setback where 15 feet is required for an existing room addition with no internal access, and to allow an existing 10-foot tall sidewall fence where 8 feet is the maximum allowed at 4420 Mark Avenue in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, can we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the non-permitted construction of the room addition at the rear of the existing dwelling has resulted in the structure encroaching into the required side and rear yard setback areas. As noted on the applicant's plans, the room addition sits 2 feet from the side property line and 4 feet from the rear property line, where 5 feet and 15 feet are required respectively. However, during a site inspection of the property, additional construction was noted. It was observed that an enclosed structure was added to the room addition and principal dwelling, as well as it was attached to the perimeter wall, resulting in a 0-foot side yard setback. Furthermore, the submitted floor plan illustrates 2 completely separate habitable spaces with no internal access provided to the principal dwelling. The depicted configuration of the existing room addition fails to meet the description number 6 of the definition of a single-family dwelling, detached dwelling, as no internal access is being provided. This requirement cannot be eliminated by means of a variance application. As such, a condition of approval has been added to this application requiring internal access to be provided. Staff finds that the variance requests are the result of a self-imposed hardship precipitated by the applicant building the structures without required building permits. Therefore, staff recommends denial of this application. If denied, the applicant would have to revise the building to conform to Title 19 requirements or remove the structure. Please note that additional letters of protest have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please? And sir, if you'll state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Jonathan Goldsmith. I'm representing the applicant. My address is 820 South 7th Street, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89101. And if I may, the applicant purchased this property in April 2013 in a foreclosure sale. The bank had held the property for approximately 3 years. The applicant's an elderly woman. She's about 70 years old, and she purchased this property to live there with her children and her grandchildren. The improvements in the building on the property were existing at the time that the applicant purchased the property. So she didn't go and add on or do any type of building. She purchased this property with the existing structure. Nevertheless, on November 12, 2013, the applicant filed for a wall fence building application as it relates to the wall that's part of this item. The wall fence building application was issued as a permit, and that permit is valid until November 12, 2014, at which time it must be renewed. Now, I want to go through and point out certain information in the variance that is not correct. First of all, the wall really should not be part of this variance. The wall at the highest point is 8 feet tall, and so there really doesn't need to be a variance on the wall. I'm showing a picture on the podium, 2 pictures, and at the very highest point, the wall is just under 8 feet. And the Commission can see here that it was measured out. And just turning to the bottom picture on the second page, again, The highest point of the wall is only 7 feet in this picture, and so there's no point in the property where the wall is 10 feet. There doesn't need to be a variance with regard to the wall. With regard to the 0-foot side yard setback, where it's stated that there is a 0-foot sidewall, and the picture that the commission has, as well as the pictures I'm showing on the podium, there is not a 0-foot side yard. There is actually a 2-foot setback on the side yard. With regard to the rear setback, which is stated as a 4-foot rear setback, the picture on top shows that the setback is actually approximately 8 feet and not 4, as it's stated in the variance. With regard to the internal access, I'm showing plans on the podium which would propose to add a door from inside of the original building into the add-on right here, and this would create internal access into the add-on. Just to conclude, Ms. Williams, the applicant, she will do whatever necessary and required by the Planning Commission and by the city, but all she's requesting is that the existing structure and the existing building be given a variance. She has no problem making any changes. She has no problem adding internal access. The problem will come is if she has to now go tear down parts of her home that she bought when those parts were already there when she bought it. She really doesn't have the means to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? And if you could all state your name and address, I would appreciate it.
My name is George Bogdanovich. I live at 4321 Mark Avenue. I've lived there for 50 years. These people have come into our neighborhood and taken 5-bedroom homes and converted them to boarding houses. They've been doing this over a period of time, and like I say, I've lived there for 50 years, and I'm tired of these people coming in, trashing our neighborhood, and making boarding houses out of single family residences. And I don't know if you've ever been out there to take a look at it, but it's trash what these people have built out there. And this lady, she moved in there in 2013 or 2011 or whenever she did. It has already been converted to a boarding house. The owner, Hazel, whatever his name was, Frederick, has converted several houses in that neighborhood, and I don't know how they get away with it because they can't be doing it according to zone conditions. And I would like to see you deny this request.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ma'am, if you could state your name and address, please.
Kay Bogdanovich, 4321 Mark Avenue. I know that multiple names have been on this property. I can't argue with you who you say the owner is. I don't know who the owner is. I don't know if she's in this room. As my husband stated, this house has been turned into a boarding house. It started out as a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home. The people prior had already enlarged some. Then it keeps being added on with my knowledge of no permits. It is a boarding house. It is not this lady's home to raise her family, grandchildren, whatever it is. It is a boarding house. Mr. Frederick, who had it before that, he started with another one across the street from us. This is the third one that they've tried to make a boarding house in a single-family neighborhood. And I would appreciate you checking into this and not saying sympathy for this lady that she bought this to raise her family in. Thank you.
Ms. Bogdanovich, if I could just ask you what you mean by a boarding house?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I sure would be glad to explain that. As I stated, the original house had 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. Then additional room was added on prior to these people. Now the garage is converted into 2 rooms, the 5 bedrooms, there are different people, each renting out these 5 bedrooms and the garage that's divided into 2, like apartment-type things. This addition you saw in the picture in the back is more people. That's what I mean by a boarding house. All these non-related people live in this house. They walk by my house every day, say hello, how are you? I know where they live, 4420 Mark Avenue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, if you could state your name and address, please.
My name's Anna Buse. I live at 4320 Mark Avenue on the corner, and I live right across from her. We see them going back and forth. On our way here this evening, we noticed he added more rebar to the side walls. The building hasn't even been there quite a year. But the lady, an elderly black woman that says she's living there raising her family, she's not. She might have one relative there, but there must be 6 to 8 people living there without a common living space, unrelated. So we'd like to have that wall down or let us all build convents. That's what it is. It's just, looks like a prison almost when you go by it.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Goins?
Yeah, I went by the property today, and it certainly is an eyesore. It kind of, like the neighbor describes, almost like the United Nations coming in and up down the street. At this point, I've heard your testimony on behalf of the applicant. I wish the applicant was here on matters that are this critical. I would hope that she would have been able to come down here and speak on our behalf and not have you speak for her. At this point, I'm at the point of following staff's recommendation to deny it. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't have much conversation beyond that.
I would just add that I'm looking at the photos and the backup material. With all due respect, I'm appalled at what I'm seeing in this. This side structure that you're looking for the 0 setback looks like forts we used to make in the desert when we were kids. And I don't mean to be cruel saying that, but that's exactly what that picture looks like. And so you clearly aren't going to have my support on this either. Commissioner Goins?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on item 41, VAR 54353, to follow staff's recommendation for denial.
Thank you. And please vote. Note that a yes vote is for denial. Motion to deny item number 41 carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item goes forward to the August 20th City Council meeting with a recommendation of denial.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on now to related items 42 and 43, beginning with item number 42, which is SUP 54334. The applicant owner is Trinity Peak 3 LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit to allow a mixed-use development at the southeast corner of Peak Drive and Buffalo Drive in Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending approval. Related item number 43 is SDR 54335 for possible action on request for a site development plan review for 110,798 square foot mixed-use development consisting of 8,000 square feet of commercial retail space and 306 residential units. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing a mixed-use project consisting of 306 residential units and 8,000 square feet of commercial retail office space on 10.28 acres of undeveloped land on the southeast corner of Buffalo Drive and Peak Drive. Mixed-use projects are permissible uses within the planned business park zoning district by means of approved special use permit. As the project is meeting all code requirements, is compatible with adjacent development, and is appropriate use for the site, staff recommends approval of both applications. Please note that within your backup materials, as submitted to the clerk, you will find the updated conditions of approval portion of the staff report with an additional condition of approval that accurately reflects the comments returned to the city by the Clark County Department of Aviation pertaining to the site development plan review. Thank you.
Thank you. If we could hear from the applicant, please.
Good evening, Jennifer Lazovich, 8345 West Sunset Road, here tonight representing Ovation Development, a company owned by Alan Lasky. On the overhead, I have got a site plan that shows the proposed project. Thank you. If you could pan up a little bit. Thank you. The proposed project is located on a 10-acre piece of property located on Buffalo Road near Smoke Ranch. It is also in what is known as the Las Vegas Technology Park. The plan before you, as your staff read into the record, is for a special use permit and a site plan review for a mixed-use multifamily project. The mixed-use component sits out here along Buffalo with commercial on the ground level and then residential units above that. The larger buildings, which sit in this area and this area, continue that project, and those units are all a multifamily for-rent project. The background on this piece of property is somewhat similar to what we're proposing today, but there is a distinction. In 2005, there was an approved project for 558 condos at a height of 75 feet. That project expired in 2007, and subsequently a revised plan came forward. This was by a different developer, not the one I'm representing today. And it was revised to be a little less intense with 436 condos and at a height of 60 feet. What we're proposing tonight is a project, it is a for-rent project, of 306 units, so less intense than the prior two projects, and at a maximum height of 54 feet. A little bit of background I think is important because it talks to and speaks to the quality of this development. Alan Lasky, through his company Ovation Development, has been developing what I would personally call high-end for-rent apartment projects in the Valley for about 25 years. His family, and he's in the audience today should you have any questions for him specifically, but they build the projects and they manage the projects, and they've done this for 20 years, and they're still in their family and they're still managing it, and they do a very, very good job with doing that because they take a lot of pride in it. So just to give you an idea of the other projects that they've built around the Las Vegas Valley, I will save one picture for the end. These pictures give you an idea of the quality of landscaping that Mr. Mulaski likes to use. He takes great pride in that. If you read the staff report, you will note that his landscape plan far exceeds what the code requirements would be for the landscaping of this type of project. The interior of his units look like this. So he really tries to take pride again on what the interior of the units look like as well. And I'm going to show you this picture last, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But the concept with this project is unique in the sense that it is a project with interior stairwells. This gives you an idea, if you can see down here and this way, there's a common area right here, but the building and all the units inside are accessed via internal hallways. The project itself is gated, okay, from a vehicular standpoint, but not only that, the units themselves can only be accessed by a card. So it isn't like I could just walk up and go see a friend who is staying there and knock on the door. I'd have to be buzzed in order to do that, and only the residents would have the cards to access the interior hallways. It's all done through elevators, and again, all the doors open onto interior hallways. This same design concept that we're proposing here, I'll show you the elevation for it on the outside. This same design concept, again, you can't see any exposed stairwells or doors, is a very similar project to what we are building on Tropicana and 215, which is across the street from the Spanish Hills development over there, single-family development. A little bit more about the project itself. It is a gated project, as I mentioned, and you'd have to get a card to access the building itself and all the individual units. It is a joint venture between Ovation, again through the Mulaski family, and Tom Thomas, another longtime Las Vegas developer here. Tom is the 75% majority owner of the Las Vegas Tech Park. So it's a joint venture between them. And to give you an idea of how much they're investing into this project, both in terms of land as well as the cost to build that kind of project with this kind of interior, it would be a $35 million project. They are 1 to 2 bedroom units. The square footages are a little over 800 square feet up to 1,200 square feet. The rental amounts are $950 a month to $1,400 a month per rent. And the amenities include conference rooms, a computer room, great room, game room, as well as a pool and spa area, which you can see on the site plan. We appreciate very much working with staff on the design of this, as they indicated in their description of this, both of these applications. They are recommending approval of both. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? And if you could state your name and addresses, please.
Lonnie Clay, 7600 Delaware Bay Drive, Las Vegas 89128. Okay. Nobody in Desert Shores became aware of this project until Thursday afternoon, when I contacted Mayor Pro Tem Anthony's office. Okay, and I was informed. Since that time, we've circulated a petition in the community. We've got 40 signatures of people. Now, remembering that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were all holidays. Okay, circulating a petition for about 3 hours resulted in more than 40 signatures. Okay, now of those 40 people, not a single one had received notification of this hearing. Okay, with due respect, on our petition, which we'd like to submit for record, we were not properly notified, we have not had time to respond, and we would like an extension, or please table this matter for some period of time so that we can organize a rational response to this. Not a single member that we contacted didn't oppose this project. It in no way, no similarity to the 06 variation that was issued to Rhodes Homes. These are not the same people. There's no similarity. There's a lot of difference between trying to build 35, 40 condos and 300 plus 800 square foot apartments. Okay, and the people that are required by law at Desert Shores within a 1,000-foot radius were simply not notified, including myself and other people. Okay, so we would respectfully request that this be shelved so that we can get a professional and responsible response to this. This in no way is reflected in the 06 special use permit issued to Rhodes Homes. That was for, how many units?
558.
How many?
558 condos was
no,
in 05.
The Rhodes Home exception in that was issued in 05.
First of all, you need to address me.
Yes.
And then, so your question is how many, and I'm going to allow Ms. Lazovich to answer your question as to the number of units, if you know.
Thank you.
Okay, so there were 2 different projects. My research is that it was done by a company called C2 Lofts, so I'm not aware of the Rhodes Homes project. And the first approval in 2005 was 558 condos at a height of 75 feet maximum. And then in 2007, it was reduced to 436 condos at a maximum height of 60 feet. I'm not sure if we're talking about the same project. But
the infrastructure simply does not exist. Okay, and you are, and incidentally, there are 3,500 homeowners in Desert Shores.
Okay, I'm going to let you, I just want you to make sure you're coming back with the comments that you originally were going to do. I don't want you going back and forth with the applicant.
Yes, excuse me. I'd like to enter the petition with the clerk, please.
Certainly. If you'll deliver it to her, I would appreciate it.
And thank you very much for considering this matter. And incidentally, there are 3,000 homeowners in Desert Shores, 3,000 plus homeowners in Desert Shores. And I would venture to guess, from the response that we received in our brief circulation of the petition, most of them will sign a petition opposing this. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, if you want to state your name and address, please.
I'm Marita Harper, and I live at 2708 Green Bay Drive, which directly abuts this property that we're talking about. Part of what I object to is the fact that the height of the buildings. There's four-story buildings. This is what, when we went to the meeting at the library, this is what they showed us. Not anything like what the Mulaski properties that were displayed. And I have no problem with Mulaski as a developer, but I do have a problem when everything else in that area is generally 2 stories tall for the technology center, and there is nothing this seems like overkill, frankly, for our neighborhood. We have a lot of amenities, and moving that many people in and putting commercial property in, which we have no idea what they're planning. I mean, we could have auto shops, fast food shops, you know, a whole lot of other things that would have an enormous amount of traffic. The traffic on Buffalo right now is a speed demon's dream. There's nothing between Cheyenne Avenue and Smoke Ranch. Not a traffic light, nothing to slow them down. We have had situations where trucks have hit the light poles right behind my house. And I really object to the density of this property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, and I'm going to ask the director to address the notification issue first.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. There have been a couple of questions about public notification, not only on this item, but on other items on tonight's agenda. I just want to clarify for the record how the Department of Planning does notification for these types of items. First of all, state law requires for certain types of land use applications that notification be given to property owners within 750 feet of the affected site. However, based on concerns from public residents, City Council amended our code a number of years back, approximately 5 or 6 years back, to require additional notification. And so the requirement in our code is notification of 1,000 feet. So the city requirements are more stringent than the state requirements in terms of notification. For the list that we draw from to notify residents, we use the information on the Clark County Assessor's database, and we send those notices to the address that's listed in the Clark County Assessor's records. We have done a notice from 1,000 feet of this property. The image that's showing on my screen shows who would be included in that notification radius. I did have my staff check that. The notices were sent out properly. We can make those lists available to anyone who would request them. So again, the notification is done at 1,000 feet, as has been stated on the record, in addition to, which is in excess of what the state would actually require for these types of items.
Thank you. Any of the commissioners wish to be heard on this matter? Commissioner Moody?
I love this project. I think this is something that would beautify the neighborhood. We know exactly what's going on and in here, and I agree with staff on their recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Goins?
I concur with Vice Chairman Moody as well. I think when we look at it, you know, you can look at it from a traditional apartment aesthetics, but this certainly doesn't have that aesthetic look on the outside. When I typically think of apartments that I would have some concern about would be those that have the high density, that have all the stair rails on the outside of the apartment. But this is truly luxury at its peak when it comes to this type of development. All of the movement in here is going to be on the interior of the building. One thing I know that when you get in there, you got to have access by a card key to get in. We saw some depictions by pictures of what the inside would be close and similar to. I think this is high end, and I think when you look at a rent that starts at upwards of $950 to $1,400, that determines who's going to be in there. And so with that, I could support this, and I think it's properly buffered away from the residential which would be to the west by Buffalo, which I believe is more 120 or more wide street, which I think serves as an appropriate buffer between that and the neighborhood. I think it meets all of the requirements that the city has, and it'll certainly see my support, and I would hope that this would serve as a model for future developers of what you may want to put as an apartment complex.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chairman, through you, I don't want to echo everything that they said, but, I mean, it's a beautiful-looking building, less intense than what was there previously, 75 feet and 60 feet with a lot more units. And I'm not too concerned about what commercial uses might go into those spots, because if it was a fast food or a mechanic shop or any of those items that would require a special use permit, and I don't think the Molaskis or the Thomas family would allow something like that to go into this beautiful apartment complex. And just a disclosure, I did work with Tom Thomas on Casa de Luz about a year ago. That project's finished. We have no ongoing relations and no other future business. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I state one thing for the record? It is no intention of ours, I'm happy to agree to a condition, although I think Commissioner Schlotman was correct in that if we wanted to bring any of those more intense, I don't even know if they would be allowed in a CPB zoning district, but we would need a use permit. But there is no intention to do a fast food restaurant or an automotive use. As I explained on the site plan, the front two buildings are the only place where there is what I'll call retail/office. We can do either one there, and it is only on the ground floor with residential units above it. So our idea for that area is something far less intense. In fact, a very soft, if you will, retail or office use.
Thank you. Commissioner Boner?
Just a clarification, I think I did well on shapes, and this is a rectangular shape, but the parcel itself looks like there's an appendage on the southeast corner. Can you tell me what the future of that is?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about. It's this southern kind of piece. I don't know what else to call it. I don't believe that might be part of the APN.
As part of
but
the
it's
APN,
not part
yeah.
of what the project goes.
So is there a zoning line, development plan line internal to the property?
I think it's based, I don't know if this is for me or Director Fagg, but I think it's based upon the design of the project.
As the parcel currently exists, it does have that appendage, as you called it, that goes down. The site plan was submitted was for the rectangular portion that you see, and it would only be applicable to that portion of the site. I believe that there's a condition of approval attached to us that they will have to map that according with the property line. And so that would be rectified as one of the conditions of approval.
Thank you. Any other commissioners wish to be heard? I just kind of took a brief look, and because of what Mr. Clay was saying on this a little while ago, and I took a brief look to see what the past held as far as this property, and it appears in 2005 it was approved for 558 units and with 52,000 square foot of commercial space. Now I look again in 2007, it was dropped down to 436 units, and then it appears to have 57,772 square foot of commercial space approved. I'm looking at what they're coming in at. They're now coming in at 306 residential units and only 8,000 square foot of commercial space. I'm looking at this as a much less intense use on that corner. I'm looking at the project and the fact that it's across a pretty good arterial from Desert Shores. And, and I'm looking, it seems like this is a good buffer between Desert Shores and the rest of that tech park behind there. Quite frankly, I think this keeps you from getting on that corner of Peak and Buffalo Drive some type of a fast food restaurant or something to that effect. So, Mr. Clay, I was at first, I was really concerned about the notification, and then I heard...
Okay, I'd
Sir,
like
sir,
to submit as
sir.
evidence a copy of the notification, and please inform me if that is a legal mailer.
Sir, you can submit it, but please, when we're talking, this is not open for public comment
Okay.
anymore. And so I did sympathize originally with the notification issue, and it appears that it was complied with by law. And I'm not sure where your residence is located, but I'm looking at the map, and the director has showed us where the notification area is. And I'm looking again at Buffalo being a fairly wide arterial, so you're going to see my support for this one tonight. Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer up a motion on item 42. I'm going to move to follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 42 carries.
Mr. Chairman, on item 43, SDR 54335, move to follow staff's recommendation for approval, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 43 carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, these items will go to the August 20th City Council meeting. That will give the applicant additional time to work with the neighborhood.
Thank you. At this juncture, we're going to take a short break. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and get started again. We're going to start with item number 44, which is SUP 54235. The applicant is Johnson Restaurant Group. The owner is Inland Diversified Las Vegas Centennial Center, LLC. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 7,934 square foot liquor establishment tavern use with 980 square feet of outdoor seating area at 5990 Centennial Center Boulevard in Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this is a proposal to reestablish a tavern use at 5990 Centennial Center Boulevard. The site is located within Town Center Special Land Use designation of General Commercial, which permits such a use by means of an approved special use permit. The proposed use meets all the minimum special use requirements for a liquor establishment tavern use within the Town Center Development Standards Manual and is appropriate for the area. Staff recommends approval of this request for a special use permit as the use can be conducted in a compatible and harmonious manner with the existing and future surrounding land uses. Thank you.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, Jennifer Lazovich, 8345 West Sunset Road. Just briefly, if you can go to the overhead. This is a new steakhouse coming out of Wyoming that would like to come to Las Vegas. It will be their first operation. It will be called the Fire Rock Steakhouse. Below is a sample menu that they have out of Wyoming, and then up above is a picture of what their interior of their restaurants look like. And that is what we would like to do at that particular location. We appreciate staff's recommendation for approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On item 44, SUP 54235, motion is to follow staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 44 carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item is final action in the absence of an appeal.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Moving on to item number 45, which is SUP 54308. The applicant is Rachel Roberts. The owner is PKI Cheyenne Commons, LLC. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a beer, wine cooler on sale establishment within a proposed 2,323 square foot restaurant with a waiver to allow a 382-foot distance separation from a church, house of worship, where 400 feet is required at 3175 North Rainbow Boulevard in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request can be conducted in a manner that's compatible and harmonious with the surrounding area and in the existing shopping center, and staff recommends approval. Please note we have received additional letters of protest and support since publication.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Yes, my name is Rachel Roberts. I'm at 3395 South Jones Boulevard, Las Vegas. Design and Wine is the business that we own. We have 2 other locations in town. This is actually our 3rd location and our newest location that we want to bring to the Las Vegas area. We have a lot of customers that live out here. We don't want to have them drive so far. So we're a small local business, and we just we already have the restaurant in place, and we also are a step-by-step canvas painting studio. So we're just wanting to offer wine with the services, other services that we offer. Wine and art kind of go hand in hand. So we definitely appreciate the recommendation of the staff, and we agree with you guys.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move for approval of item 44, SUP 54235, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
And I believe that's item 45, Commissioner?
Or item 45, yes. I do apologize.
Thank you. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 45 carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Have a good night. Moving on now to item 46, which is SUP 54326. The applicant is AT&T Mobility, LLC. The owner is Oxford Technology, Inc., for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 80-foot tall wireless communication facility, non-stealth design, at 164 West Cincinnati Avenue in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this subject site is located in the close proximity to the scenic byway. The increase in overall height and the design change from a monopole to a non-stealth design would result in a negative impact of the scenic byway view and qualities along Las Vegas Boulevard and affect the surrounding properties. As such, staff recommends denial of the application. Please note we've received additional letters of protest and support since publication.
Thank you. And may we hear from the applicant, please?
Hello, I'm Diana Salazar with Black & Veatch, representing AT&T at 6 Sunset Way, Suite B108, Henderson, Nevada, 89014. I am here on AT&T's behalf to request the City of Las Vegas Planning Commission to approve the drop and swap of an existing 49-foot cell tower for a new 80-foot monopole telecommunication tower, located at 164 West Cincinnati Avenue. The applicant hereby requests the tower extension for a few reasons, 3 of them, to allow for the tower to be structurally sound so that we can co-locate and add as many as 3 carriers rather than what now is able to accommodate 1 carrier. Also to increase the coverage which is desperately needed in that area for texting, internet services, to the surrounding community, and also to tourists, and to cover the upcoming density improvements that are now happening. And for the also for the additional reason that the current height of the tower, the 49-foot current tower, is not able to transmit through larger buildings that surround it. The applicant has met all of the City of Las Vegas's requirements and intends to add landscaping around the telecommunication tower and shelter, to paint the tower a desert gray that would blend in with the surrounding desert landscaping area, and also to increase the height of the shelter, which is now 8 feet. We would increase that to 10 feet. And the applicant has met all of the required setbacks, and we propose that the 80-foot tall wireless communication facility, non-stealth design, is in compliance with the Downtown Centennial Plan and also with Title 19. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Saying none, I will close the public comment portion and open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Slotman?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, considering that there's already an antenna there, dropping this one down, putting a new one, really don't have that big of an issue with it. If anybody else has any other comments, I'd like to hear from them.
Commissioner Moody?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just wondering what the justification is for not doing something more, considering we do have a scenic byway next to this. Why not try to improve this and make it look better?
And is it okay for me to respond? Yes, we are willing to look at anything that you would recommend that you think would be more in compliance with the area. I do want to just point out, if you look at the board here, that we are talking about a very area that is, and I think in your staff comments, has a lot of trash and weeds in the area. There's not much actually going on in the existing area. So, and then looking at the byway, as you're saying, really, if you look onto this plan, and I don't, yeah, as you can see right here.
Excuse me, I just wanted you to respond to the commissioner's question, and I
okay.
appreciate it. Any,
Alrighty,
Commissioner
sure.
Slotman, did you want to continue, or?
Yeah, I had another question.
Please.
Vice Chair's finished. As far as going with the stealth design, making it look like a palm tree, why not go ahead and do that?
You know, we think that your recommendations, we respectfully enjoy listening to your recommendations as to what you think would be best in the area. So I've given you a couple examples here of what we could do, if you would prefer. And you'll see here that we do have a palm tree. It's in the same location. And then we have an example of also a pine. So they're called monopalm or a monopine. The pine this one here is actually on Russell Road, and it's probably the best in the community. It looks really good, and it does enable us to put additional carriers on it. However, there aren't any pine trees in that particular area to blend in with, so nor are there really any palms. So whatever you would suggest.
I think if we come up with that stealth design, that palm tree, we see them all over, and some people say they look ridiculous. I actually kind of like them. I think they look nicer when you try to disguise them. Would that be something that you'd be willing to do?
Yes, absolutely.
And so I think I would make a motion on item number 46, SUP 54326. I would move for approval, and I would change it from a non-stealth design to a stealth design, adding the palm tree look towards the top of that tower. Director, would you
The added
restate it?
condition would basically state that the applicant will be required to do a monopalm, just so we have that clear in the condition, and so that would be an added condition.
Okay, thank you. That is my motion with the added condition.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote.
Mr. Chair, is the applicant in agreement with that?
Excuse me, I'm sorry?
Is the applicant in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Motion to approve item number 46 carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Item 47 is SDR 54240. The applicant owner is DN Charleston LLC for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for two proposed commercial buildings totaling 15,400 square feet with waivers to allow a 10-foot wide landscape buffers along the north and west perimeters where 15 feet is the minimum required at the northeast corner of Charleston Boulevard and Mohawk Street in Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending approval. Staff may have the report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed redevelopment of the subject site complies with all Title 19 development standard requirements, with the exception of the requested landscape buffer depth waivers along the north and west property line. Staff finds that the requested waivers will have a negligible impact upon the surrounding properties and rights-of-way, and therefore recommends approval of the site development plan review. Please note that an additional letter of support has been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sue Marshall. I'm with VTN. Our address is 2727 South Rainbow, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here representing the applicant. Before you tonight, I have a site development plan review. Retail pad A is 9,380 square feet. Retail pad B is 6,020 square feet, for a total of 15,400 square feet on this site. The site is 1.84 acres. Retail pad A is located 212 feet from the nearest residential development, where the code only requires 66 feet. Retail pad B is located 194 feet from the nearest residential home, where the code only requires 66 feet. As staff has indicated, our landscape plan meets all the code requirements with the exception of the 10-foot landscape buffer along both Alpine and the west property boundary. We're providing 15 feet along Mohawk and Charleston, and we meet all the requirements for parking lot landscaping, setbacks, number of trees, and so forth. The buildings, again, are proposed to be 22 feet tall at the parapet. 18 feet is the height of the majority of the building. We've reviewed the proposed conditions of approval, and we request your approval tonight.
Thank you very much. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Looks like Commissioner Slotman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I recognize those buildings. They look nice.
Thank you.
similar to the last ones, but I think this area fits a lot better. And anyways, just wanted to say the landscape and everything on this project looks great, and it'll see my support.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on item 47, SDR 54240, would make a motion, follow staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Motion to approve item 47 carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Item number 48 is SDR 54311. The applicant is Chartered for Excellence Foundation. The owner is Roman Catholic Bishop of Las Vegas. For possible action on request for a site development plan review for 3 proposed 1,435 square foot detached modular buildings at 1300 East Bridger Avenue in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, currently the subject site consists of a 2-story, 16,000 square foot building located at 1300 East Bridger Avenue. The existing building was built in 1948 and utilized as a private school primary use for 65 years until its eventual closure in 2013. The applicant proposes to reestablish the private school primary use at the site and construct 3 detached modular buildings totaling 4,320 square feet. The modular buildings would allow the applicant to add a total of 6 classrooms and increase the overall square footage dedicated for the private school primary use to 20,320 square feet. The proposed new development is in compliance with the Title 19 development standards for the Civic Zoning District. Therefore, staff recommends approval with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman and Commission, my name is C.J. Hoagland from Hoagland Architecture, and my address is 5459 South Durango Drive, Suite 100. I'm here representing the developer and the owner. This is the first phase of the planned implementation of where we want to develop the site a little bit further and add more classrooms. This has been in continuous use as a primary school since 1948 and through 2013 when it closed down. The new owner is wanting to keep that use continuous and would like to ask for your support in getting these and putting these portables in for the first phase of this project.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you, item number 48, SDR 54311, I would make a motion to follow staff's recommendations for approval.
Please vote. Motion to approve item number 48 carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Have a good night. Item 49 is SDR 54327. The applicant owner is White Montecito Real Estate LLC for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 4-level parking garage with waivers of the town center commercial development standards to allow a building height of 50 feet where 35 feet is the maximum height allowed, to allow the build-to-line to be 80% where 60% is the maximum allowed, to allow a 0-foot side yard setback on the north and a portion of the south perimeter where a minimum of 10 feet is required, to allow an 11-foot perimeter landscape buffer along the east property line where 15 feet is required, a waiver of Title 19.08 to allow a 0-foot landscape buffer on the north and a portion of the south perimeters where a minimum 8 feet is required, and a waiver of the Montecito Town Center Timberlake buffer area to allow a multi-story building where only single-story buildings are permitted at the northwest corner of Grand Montecito Parkway and Clark County 215. In Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending denial. And staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing a 4-level parking garage at the northwest corner of Grand Montecito Parkway and the Clark County 215. The parking garage exceeds both the height, number of stories, and setbacks allowed per both the Town Center Development Standards Manual and the Montecito Development Agreement Timberlake buffer area requirements. Staff finds that the proposed development is not compatible with the adjacent residential development to the east and therefore recommends denial of the application. Please note that an additional letter of protest has been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, Jennifer Roberts of Lionel Sawyer and Collins, 300 South 4th Street. I'm here with architect Barrett Powley of Encompass Studio. We're seeking approval today for a 4-level parking garage, and we're appearing on behalf of the applicant and property owner. This parking garage, noted in blue on this plan, have to come down a little further and to the left.
Can you kind of move it on the, there you go.
So this would be the location of the parking garage on a small parcel, and the parcel adjacent to it is owned by the same property owner. There is a existing, currently vacant building of 180,000 square feet on the adjacent parcel. The garage will support the planned occupancy of that building, which has been vacant since it was constructed in 2009, but now we're looking at a tenant that will come in and occupy at initially 50% of the building, bringing in about 500 to 600 jobs to the area. The property owner does look forward to this new occupancy, and with that occupancy hopes that it will encourage the remainder of the building to be occupied. The reason for the parking garage is because the existing parking that is permitted for the building would support the building, but it would just be, it may not be enough for full occupation. So we're adding the parking garage to supplement the tenancy so that you don't see any spillover in the streets or into the neighborhood. So it would offer a full amount of parking for full occupation of the building. That's what they're looking for. And due to the unique nature of having two adjacent parcels with zoning that's slightly different, we're seeking some waivers that we can explain here. The building height of 50 feet, where 35 feet is required. You'll see this is the proposed parking garage design, and the parking garage itself is actually 35 feet. 37, I think, is the maximum. But because of the stairwell and fire code requirements, they had to add to the top of the stairwell, which sets it at 50 feet. This tiny little portion is what makes it 50 feet. The rest of the building is 35, 37 feet at max. So that did require us to request a waiver. We're also asking for a waiver for the build-to line to be 80% where 60% is max, and that's because of the way it faces the street. However, there's some unique issues here in that we've had to add we've been stuck with a few setback issues because we're not able to combine the parcels because of the slightly different zone. We wanted to just move the parcel line, but that wasn't allowed because of these slight variations. So we designed it, it's the same owners, so it's not going to affect anything, but that does require us to ask for all these series of landscape waivers and everything. But we did add additional landscaping, additional setback away from the street that would help ease the view for the surrounding area. And again, the waiver of the buffer area to allow a multi-story building where single story is required. If this were an actual additional office building, it would be roughly the same height. So it's just because it's a 4-level garage, we have to request a waiver of that. So I know that there's a series of waivers, but it's simply just a parking garage that adds to the already approved building. It's already constructed. Regardless of the parking garage existing, there's a tenant committed to occupy to initially 50% of the building. We just want to ease any impact by having this parking garage so that no one's spilling out into the streets or anything. Here to answer any questions on any of the application, and we would accept the conditions if approved, and we would ask for your recommendation of approval.
Thank you very much. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Sir, if you could state your name and address, please.
My name is Mark Schwartz, 8232 Fawn Meadow Avenue, Las Vegas 89149. I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the Timberlake Homeowners Association. And I don't know where to begin on our objections to this here. I've got, wonder if I could show a couple of items.
Certainly. You can put them on where they can pick it on the overhead.
Okay, as you can see, this is Timberlake in the yellow right here. This is from the proposed town center land use when the development was originally projected. Timberlake is an island of low residential surrounded by mixed use. Directly across the street to the west of Timberlake is the Main Street mixed use, which specifically states that no buildings can be higher than 35 feet. Somehow that building got built over our objections. Don't know what happened. A little to the north of the building and to the west, well, just west of our development, 2 parcels were turned into residential, where I believe Richmond America built a smaller community. This here is the diagram of the notification area here. We have 289 homeowners in Timberlake. Only 149 were notified. And I think when something, I know what the law is, but I think that when something like this affects one entire community as far as their lone egress at that point out of the community, everybody should have been notified. And I cannot tell you how many people have come to my door, emailed me, phoned me, saying how much they disagree with having this building put up. They're saying the applicant is talking about the landscaping. We're not worried about the landscaping. We're worried about getting out of our community. We have one exit that's an exit only on Fawn Meadow to get out onto Grand Montecito, other than the 2 main exits on Deer Springs. We have the school directly at our exit, so the combination of the school traffic, the traffic that's going to be generated from these 500 to 800 new employees is going to be overwhelming for us, and nobody's acknowledged that. They have not stated how they're going to get people in and out of this garage, other than if they're going northbound, they have to make a U-turn at our exit gate to go back southbound to get into this garage or to get into their parking lots. We have problems every morning when the buses pick up the students and drop them off in the afternoon, because not only the students going to Clark County School District, but the students going to the school. The parents drop off their kids and line up all along Grand Montecito and prevent us from getting out. We've worked with Councilman Ross's office when the school was being built, and they made Dobrook one way instead of two ways in order for the traffic pattern to just be continually to the right and people not coming in and blocking our exit gate, which is also an emergency entrance gate. This entire project is beyond us, and we just really feel this is being shoved down our throats the same way the big building was, and it's going to cause a disaster as far as traffic problems getting out of our community.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter?
Yeah, just for a moment.
Sir, what's that?
Just for a moment.
Sure, please come up, give your name and address.
Hi, Andy Damari, 8313 Fawnbrook Court in Timberlake. We did not receive any kind of a notice on this building. We're in that community, the only community in the region there, and we fall outside of the 1,000-foot distance, I think, so we did not receive any kind of a notice. So if we were not made aware by Mark of what was going on, we wouldn't have even been here tonight. That's probably why nobody from Timberlake is here, because the majority of them were not notified of this building. So that's, I think, pretty important that that large community of 289 houses is sitting there on its own, and 1/3 of them were notified of this occurrence. And I am frankly in amazement that that wasn't, that the entire residential neighborhood of Timberlake wasn't notified. That street that the garage is going to be built on is a 4-lane road. There is a school, as Mark said, right at one of our exits that does serve as an emergency exit from our neighborhood. The school, at the time of incoming students and outgoing students, is so busy that that entire 4-lane road is blocked. If you're on that road at any time around 8 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 in the afternoon, traffic is at a dead stop and you literally can't go anywhere on that street. So the traffic inbound and outbound to that parking garage, which is directly across the street from the school, is also going to be affected. I don't know how they're going to manage to get 300 or 400 cars in and out of that garage in a million years in that neighborhood. So I just thought I'd come up and support Mark here and give that little bit of information, and hopefully that helps.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. I'd just like to lead off real quick because I got a question. Mr. Schwartz, do you mind coming back to the podium for a second? And maybe either you or Ms. Roberts can answer this question for me. My understanding is the business on that corner right now is presently not being, the building's not being used, it's vacant?
Correct. It was built in
2009
and has sat there
And so
now.
I just want to get this clear in my mind. Regardless of this garage getting built, if this building does open up, isn't that going to still add the...
It's going to make it extremely bad, and an extra 300 cars for a garage, it's going to make it worse.
But it all the parking will just be to support that one building, is that correct, Ms. Roberts?
Correct. With the garage. Mhm.
And it's a complete violation of the town center development standards.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm getting at is I'm not sure how the parking garage adds to the traffic if you've already got the building. I just kind of trying to get that in my mind before I make a decision.
It's going to be, as far as I understand, it's going to be a 24-hour operation building is one thing. So people are going to continually be coming there all night long. And while it's not going to, it'll add more traffic in the way of vehicles, I don't know how much worse it can be than it is now. I mean, if that's what you're looking for. It's terrible now, and I don't think it's going to help it out. And we, like I said, we're just an island in the middle of all this, and I've got 289 or 288 other homeowners that are really furious about it.
Do you have any kind of petition or
We probably will. The problem is that the idea of this notification, and even the people in the notification area, the 149 homes, I walked around to talk to quite a few of the people. They said they didn't get anything. I am in the notification area, and I get everything being the Secretary Treasurer, and I did not get that little card. So I don't know what's going on.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
I think one of the other commissioners, Commissioner Schlottman.
Yes, I'd like to see an overall site plan, and I don't know if it was submitted, but I can't find it in the backup. So, I mean, it'd be something I'd love to see before voting on this.
Yes, it's the same as this one.
Ms. Roberts, that microphone in the middle works, so if you want to stand there, you can.
Okay.
Yep.
So you'll see here that this is the site plan that was submitted. Not shown. Is it shown on your screen? It's not showing on mine.
Or if you could move it up a little bit too, it might, we don't need to see the keynotes and all that.
So the existing, it's not showing on our computer, but the existing building is here with another parking structure and more parking. The entrance to the parking garage would be off of this street. There is an island here, so there wouldn't be exiting and entrance heading into the school zone that way. All traffic would have to exit heading away from the school. And again, this building already exists, that we're not here for approval of the building. It will already exist. It will bring, there is a planned tenancy. This is just to supplement that to ease any parking issues for the already approved building. So the island will act as a buffer. It is a 24-hour operation. It's not retail, so it's not open to consumers. It's just open for employees. And we have notified the tenant that it would be best for traffic impact ease to not schedule shift changes at the time of school hours coming in and coming out. So there is traffic impact ease. There is some traffic reduction by having the 24-hour operation with shifts, so you're not having all employees coming in at once. And again, we have notified them about the school hours. So we hope that does, ease some concerns about the traffic.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Moody?
Through you, Mr. Chair, you just answered one of my questions, and that was what your plan was for the traffic. One of the things I don't think you discussed, or if you did, I didn't hear you. Can you show the line of sight on that structure from across the street?
I think we have a better.
I saw it, there it is. Maybe we could zoom in on that. You could explain what we're looking at.
Okay, Barrett Powley with Encompass Studio. I'm at 241 West Charleston.
Can you kind of stand up and speak? Your head's right on them. There you go.
89102, sorry.
Thank you.
So, as part of my mind just went blank.
Line of sight.
Part of the line of sight is this proximity slope from the neighborhood residential property line to our property line to the face of the building. Within that 3-to-1 slope, we're staying underneath that proximity zone slope. In the town center standards, the development standards, they're saying they want, their minimum is a 35-foot tall single-story building is the max, and to build that on the property line. That's what is in the code. We are proposing to step the building back 11 feet so that we stay underneath that proximity zone and provide a bigger buffer from the sidewalk to the face of the building and add more landscaping, as you can see in the rendering there.
So in other words, by moving it back, you were able to meet that with the line of sight?
Exactly, within the proximity slope.
Gotcha.
We try to keep it as far back as we can.
Okay.
But in doing so, we had to ask for some other waivers to reduce some landscaping on the south side because it's kind of a triangular shape. So we're back to the corner where it pinches off, but we put as much landscaping in that zone.
But that really only impacts our own parcel
Yeah.
that we own.
And directly to the south is the freeway, so it tucks in there nicely, right by the freeway. It seems that it's a spot for it. What else what else you can put there?
Thank you. I'm going to reserve my comments until after Commissioner Bonar.
Thank you. Commissioner Bonar?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is 4 floors of parking, but the base floor is halfway under, it's partly below grade. Is that correct?
Yeah, there is some that goes down below grade, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is the top. So the garage slopes with
And
the site.
did you take the dimension that you're looking for, the 35 or the 50, from the average elevation on the profile? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about with the grade. The grade slopes, 5 feet or so from the street back to the end of the property line. We
And is
took
that 50 feet from that midpoint or the average elevation then?
No, it's taken from the street.
From the lowest point?
From the street edge.
So
That's the lowest
so
point.
some of that first floor, the base level, is underground, or is partly underground?
No, it's not. It's not underground at all. You see, there's a dashed line there that I'm showing here. It's kind of hard to see, but that's level, grade level. So it's a little higher than actual grade, the parking level.
So at the other end, go to your right.
Yeah.
Is that 3 full levels or 4 full levels?
4.
It's 4 levels.
So it slopes. The garage slopes down with the site.
Oh, it's all 4, it's just sloped?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Slopes with-
That's what I needed, thanks.
Commissioner Moody?
Thank you. I'm in support of this project, and here's why. Here's the way I see this. We have a building that's sat vacant for 5 years now. We hope something moves in there, and now we've got something to move in there. We've got a potential of up to 600 jobs. I don't see the 24 hours as a negative here. I see it as a positive because I see 3 rotating shifts, and as long as the owner and the business is willing to work with the school and figure out a way to bring people in and out and not back up traffic at the same time that we're having the existing problems, I don't see that we're doing any harm. I understand the reason why you're asking for this setback based on the position of the parcel with the parking lot as it exists now. I think you've done a great job matching the building or trying to come close to making it look like it's a part of the building that's already there. And I think this is a good thing for this area, and so you will see my support on that.
I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On item 49, SDR 54327, the motion is for approval subject to all conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote.
And Mr. Chairman, my computer's restarting because it's been going crazy for the past 15 minutes. So do I cast a verbal vote, or can I just go off of Vicky's?
Go ahead and cast a verbal vote.
Yes.
Motion to approve item number 49 carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, this item is going to go forward to the August 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Item number 50 is SDR 54329. The applicant is State Public Works Board. The owner is State of Nevada Building and Grounds for possible action on request for a site development plan review for a proposed 40,359 square foot government facility, DMV, at 2621 East Sahara Avenue in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, can we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, currently the subject site consists of two government facilities at the northeast corner of Sahara Avenue and Atlantic Street. The first facility is a two-story, 28,824 square foot building utilized by the Department of Motor Vehicles. The second is a 62,500 square foot government office building. The applicant is proposing to replace the existing two-story building with a single-story, 40,359 square foot building. The new proposed building would be located approximately 210 feet to the west of the existing structure. The applicant would demolish the existing 28,824 square foot structure upon completion of the new building. The existing 62,500 square foot building would remain unaffected by the proposal. The proposed new development is in compliance with Title 19 development standards for the Civic Zoning District. Therefore, staff recommends approval with conditions. Please note within your backup materials, you will find an updated staff report as well as an amended conditions of approval deleting conditions 3, 4, and 5, and amending condition 10. In addition, staff have received additional letters of support after the publication. Thank you.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Hi, my name is Jenny Pinars. I'm with Tate Snyder Kimsey Architects.
I apologize. I didn't catch your your full name.
Jenny Pinars. I'm at 709 Valley Verde Court in Henderson, Nevada. As the staff reported, we're just proposing to build a new Department of Motor Vehicles right next to the existing building. We'll keep the existing building operational and then switch over once the new building is complete. I have representatives from State Public Works and Department of Motor Vehicles here if you have any questions, and we agree with all the conditions.
Okay, thank you very much. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion. Open up for discussion amongst commissioners. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chairman, through you. Met with the applicants. They showed me all their plans, and I've been going to this DMV for years, and I mean, the circulation and everything else in the old parking lot is pretty bad, and no parking lot trees. And I tell you what, they really did a bang-up job with bringing in all the landscape and putting in the landscape and the parking stalls, and great circulation going around the backside of the building for the VIN checks and things like that, and the energy efficiency things that you're putting into the building. I think it's a great building. It's in need of being rebuilt, and I support this.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, on item number 50, SDR 54329, I make a motion for approval. And I'll go ahead and cast a verbal vote, yes.
Let's see. And Commissioner Schlotman, just to clarify, that's with the amended conditions of approval that Mr. Lowenstein has read into the record or has identified for the record.
That is correct.
Thank you. Please vote. Motion to approve item number 50 carried. Oh, excuse me. Motion to approve item number 50 carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 51 is TXT 54143. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas, for discussion and possible action regarding a request to amend the town center development standards to reintroduce the EC-TC land use designation. Staff has no recommendations. I will be abstaining on this matter as I sit on the board of directors of a charitable organization that will most likely benefit from this designation.
Mr. Vice Chairman, in April 2013, the last portion of Town Center Land Use Plan designated ECTC, the Employment Center Mixed Use, was amended to ML, Medium Low Density Residential, Special Land Use Designation, effectively eliminating this designation from any part of the plan. This proposed amendment would reinstate the Employment Center Mixed Use and its related uses and standards. This designation permitted uses of the most intense character available within town center area, including auto-related uses, crematories, light assembly and manufacturing, towing yards, truck rental, and thrift shops. I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment and open it for discussion on the Planning Commission. Seeing none, would someone like to make a motion?
Through you, Mr. Vice Chairman, on item 51, move for approval of TXT 54143.
Thank you.
And Madam Clerk, I will cast a yes vote verbally.
That motion carries, noting the abstention of Chairman Flangus.
Mr. Vice Chair, that item will go forward to City Council in ordinance form.
Thank you. Item number 53 is DIR 54267, the applicant owner, City of Las Vegas, for discussion and possible action regarding a request to adopt the Rafael Rivera Walkable Community Plan. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this is the fourth walkable community plan that the Planning Department has worked on and is presenting tonight. The 2020 Master Plan policies direct us to promote existing areas for walkability. The plan area was identified for its concentration of goods, services, and proximity to residential areas. The plan center around 1/2 mile radius of Eastern and Sunrise Avenues. Planning met with the community through various open house surveys, online community meetings, walkable website, and polls. From those meetings and discussions, we developed a plan which is in 4 sections: the introduction, the existing conditions, and an implementation plan, which contains 56 recommendations that will improve walkability in this area. Those recommendations include obstacles removals, additional crosswalks, sidewalk ramps, bus stop improvements, street trees, pedestrian lighting, street medians, roadway stripings, and additional sidewalk. It also includes an appendix that provides a checklist for new development to ensure that the UDC design intent of a walkable community will be met. The next step is adoption by City Council, identify funding sources, federal grants, City of Las Vegas capital improvement programs, the RTC project funding, and the general fund capital improvement plan, and establish priorities as fundings become available. And I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Good evening, and if you could state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Arnold Stock, 840 South Rancho Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106, representing Mary Bartzis Enterprises. I'm the development consultant for the parcels on Fremont and Eastern at approximately 9 plus or minus acres that we've been working on for quite some time now. And I became aware of this plan through Councilman Coffin and his staff. And I want to congratulate the city and the planning department, because this is the type of proactive elements that we've been waiting for as private developers. And I've talked with Commissioner Schlottman many times on this, and the other have visited with the downtown project folks, with Siegel Suites, and some of the landowners, and have been in contact for almost 3.5 years now with the Sunrise neighborhood that's immediately behind the vacant parcel on Fremont, on Eastern Avenue. And this is a beacon of light. The last beacon of light we had was with the bus line that actually goes into downtown Henderson. And so we wholeheartedly support this, and we'd like to take this to the next level, where we actually work very much closer with the city and with the other landowners along Fremont Street, which is the easternmost entry into the downtown redevelopment project. It's this and another project that I'm working on Veterans Village on the, we call it the mid-strip area, are the more difficult areas of redevelopment. To me, they're the hardest part of redevelopment to do. And we have some other pockets and areas of some other sites that we saw this evening in downtown. But I think this is a great project, and anything we can do as private businesses to support this, we'd like to be a part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chairman, through you, I was excited to see this walkable community plan come right down in my neighborhood, in my ward. It's one of the areas that really hasn't received a lot of attention throughout the past 20 years. And driving some of these neighborhoods, some of them don't even have sidewalks, or the sidewalks are pilling up where you'd trip if you walked across them. So happy to see that. We've seen a lot of sidewalks over the past 2 years being replaced in the downtown, immediate downtown area, around 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way up to 11th and Maryland Parkway from Charleston all the way down to Carson Avenue. But I think this is an area that really needs some attention. I remember back during the last campaign, a lot of the people in the East Las Vegas said, how come we don't have sidewalks? How come we can't get this? And I'm just happy to say that the planning department pulled this together, created this walkable community plan, and we're actually going to, make it safer and easier for them to commute. Another thing that I always say is these crosswalks, we got to really look at trying to find ways to make our crosswalks safer. Charleston is a worst part in all of Las Vegas, from the 15 all the way down to Eastern. Seen so many people get hit, probably at least 5 people over the past 5 years, and one's too many. And every time it's because the cars going up and down the street can't see the pedestrians. They don't know that a pedestrian's there because half of the crosswalks have been ground down, or they're completely black, and you don't know there's a crosswalk there. So, however, there are a couple of really good crosswalks in the area around Fremont and Eastern, and going up Eastern, but Stewart and Ogden and some of these other heavily traveled streets right in the Raphael Riviera, it looks like the city staff did a good job with acknowledging those and looking at putting money there. So the quicker we can get money, the better off we are. But I appreciate staff putting this together, and you did a really good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll entertain a motion.
Yes. Chairman, on item number 53, DIR 54267, I would make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote.
And I'll cast a yes vote.
Motion to approve item number 53 carries.
And Mr. Chairman, this item will go forward to the August 20th City Council meeting, and we thank Mr. Stock for staying so late to offer his comments on the plan, so thank you.
Go on now to item number 55, which is DIR 54704, for possible action on the appointment of a new member to the Downtown Design Review Committee. Staff has no recommendation, and I believe this is strictly for us to decide, and it's my understanding that Commissioner Slotman has been one of the members from the Planning Commission for the Downtown Design Review Committee, and it's his term that's up. And I believe Commissioner Goins has a nomination to make.
Yep. I think he's done a good job. I think although his term is up, there's no term limits on this, so I'm going to offer up a nomination for Commissioner Trinity Slotman again for this position.
Do I have any other nominations? Seeing none, nominations are closed. Let's have a vote on the appointment of Commissioner Slotman to the Downtown Design Review Committee, please.
Should we ask if he's willing?
That's always a good thing.
Yes, I'd be willing to serve another term, thank you.
We just drafted you anyway, so if we could have a vote, please. Please.
My vote would be yes.
Motion to approve the appointment of Commissioner Trinity Schlotman to the Downtown Design Review Committee passes. Last item on the agenda tonight is item 56, citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of any time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Any members of the public wish to be heard under this item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, and I would like to make a comment myself, and then I'll pass the mic. Last month, one of my sons was seriously injured in an accident, and he sustained burns on over 65% of his body, many broken bones, including his back and neck, and a few other things. It happened up in Reno. We airlifted him down here to UMC, and I want to commend UMC for the amazing work they did on him to get him well. A lot of people criticized the health care in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada, and UMC was absolutely incredible in getting him back on his feet and out the door. And so I can't say enough for the Trauma Center and the Burn Center over at UMC. Thank you. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a question, 52, was that held till the next meeting? Okay, I'm getting a yes, thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make just a quick acknowledgement. I know a good friend of mine who used to be a longtime city employee, Chetley Knight. He was my college roommate. We grew up in Las Vegas as kids, but he passed away Monday afternoon. And so I know that some city staffers were made aware, but I just wanted, for the public record, I know there's a lot of folks out there that knew him, but I just wanted to offer up his family in our prayers, and just keep them in your prayers and your thoughts as their family goes through this difficult time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Meeting adjourned.